Here we go.
G'day fans and welcome to another exciting episode of Rip It Off the Card. Now the first question we have to ask absolutely everybody out there is why on earth are you watching us on this beautiful night? You should be out on the town partying, getting out. I even washed my car today for the first time in 4 months. I'd love to go for a drive, but no, I have to sit here and look at Aaron's head and go, well, didn't I draw a short straw when I took on the opportunity to make this show? So unbelievable. Why are people at home? Go out, everybody. You can watch us later. The show's quality will still be there. How you going, Mr. Aaron?
Good. It's like the episode of The Simpsons where everyone's been locked down and then they're allowed out and all the people at the old folks' home go, we're scared, and just turn back in and go straight back inside again. We're the easy option on a Wednesday night. Absolutely
love it. Let's talk from Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, who's the lady out of us two? I was like, where's he going with that? So unbelievable. So look at this. Even Gavin has said, look, good evening. This is better than going out. I tell you what, I was 1 inch away from leaving the door. And I go, I've got to come back and do this damn show. But, you know, I'm taking one for the team. So I hope everybody's sort of appreciative of that. So how you going, Mr. Aaron, since last time I saw you? You doing pretty good?
Yeah, doing well. It's been an interesting week, hasn't it? So very busy with everyone coming out of lockdown and then trying to work out schools going back and society opening up again. All good. How have you been?
Oh, yeah, it's all very, very, very cool. So my social life is now starting to sort of return back to normal, which is very, very groovy. Got to catch up with some dudes, and you can't not seeing a dude. What can I say? Now, here's one for you, everybody out there. Last week when we put the show on, which was the X-Files episode part 2, we said we were going to run hours overtime, right? Completely bananas, and we actually finished within 2 hours. So for tonight's episode, which will probably run over time because hey, it's a nice night, and I'm just going to keep everybody stuck in front of a screen for the rest of the evening. We'll probably run for 2 hours as well. So there you go. I like this one from the Vile. It's dudes in hats. Absolutely. So which is very, very, very cool. Now, if you're wondering why we're wearing the hats, because it's like it's just we want to start a fashion trend. For people saying, I'm wearing a hat, not because I like Tom Cruise is wearing one or anybody else, is because these two dudes on Rip It Off the Card are wearing one. So there you go. What do you reckon? Very cool. When's the next party, Dags? There's a party happening right now in front of your screen, which is very, very cool. Now, think in terms of things which are extremely cool, and this is the coolest thing in the entire universe. Mr. Aaron, we've got some awesome news, and it's this.
Mr. Back.
Yep, exactly right. So what's going on, Mr. Aaron, on Friday night?
I'm a little bit insulted that that's the best you could come up with, Jar Jar Binks. Friday night, the store is opening. Thanks to government regulations, we're not open for Friday during the day. Restrictions are lifted at 6 o'clock. So we are opening at 6 o'clock till late. And anyone who wants to come along, we're going to be getting pizza, and anything out of the drinks fridge is free because it's all out of date and not fizzy anymore.
I was going to say, because the fridge is empty. Now, here's a comment. Joe says he watches a hat when he watches. Are you watching it wearing a hat because we're wearing a hat? Oh, Joe, you're just too much of a fanboy. What can I say? Absolutely fantastic. But yes, the store is opening on Friday night. Doors will be kicking open at 6 p.m. And we expect absolutely not a single person to be there because you guys are all too busy slacking off. But no, seriously, it's going to be an awesome night. We're back into the zone again, and it should be fantastic. So, and for those who have no idea what the store is, because it has been a few weeks, it is at Shop 3, number 1, Main Street, Blackburn. That's what it looks like on the outside. And because it's daylight savings, it'll look exactly like that in the evening, which is going to be awesome. I love this from Jared. Free Batman ice creams. Yeah, good luck prying those out of my freezer. What can I say?
I think Jared's I think Jared's comment before that about every retail shop in Victoria is open 6 p.m. till midnight is funny as well, because if you do want to go to your Kmarts and your Big W's to get your Masters of the Universe classics, that's fine, but swing by us for some free pizza as well, because like Big W ain't offering pizza, are they?
Mate, why would you go to those other places? Stuff those. You go to good old Aaron's Collectables, where the nerdy talk face-to-face for the first time in months will be on tap. You know, you can go to your Kmart's any day of the week, but you can't have nerdy talks in Kmart and all those places. So there you go. good old Natasha. We will see you there. They have a limit of how many nerds are allowed in, dude. Do you have an answer to that question?
Yeah, that's one of those things we've got to check with the government website, because it's different between vaxxed and unvaxxed people. And when we were having limited numbers last time round, I think we could only have 16 people in the shop. But this time round, because of vaccination numbers, it's different. So we will just play it by ear and post it just before we open, and so everyone has an idea.
Yeah, if things go, if there's just too many of us, we'll just spill out into the street. Imagine that, nerds spilling out into the street and having a party on Main Street. We're just nerding down. It's all very exciting. And for Natasha, just so you know, the little dude probably doesn't count as one because he's only like this big anyway. So, what the hell, 7 months old, he's still a point whatever. So what do you reckon, eh? Yeah. Very, very cool. Now, there was a question here at the answer. Thomas, yes, it is definitely this Friday coming 2 days from now. In fact, yes. 2 days from now, we'll be right in the zone of slamming down a Hawaiian, talking nerdy, looking at Aaron's head. How good is that? So
I see Dave's comment there. The best place in Blackburn. Thanks for that. I'll pay you a kickback later.
Very, very cool. It will be. Actually, I'm glad that Dicko made that comment, because one of the things that's also happening is, of course, the store's opening back up. And that, of course, means that people will be coming in on Saturday. And if you do actually come in, you can actually become a writer. So that actually could be you. So we can finally bring the writers back into the show, get some pictures with yourself and the staff. Aaron and some other turtlehead will be working there that day, and we'll put you in the show. So take a ticket, wait in the queue, and it'll be absolutely awesome. So that actually could be you. What do you reckon? How good's that?
That's pretty cool. And also, Mark said Curly could be the bouncer if there's too many people. Unfortunately, not. Curly would be on the take and selling death sticks at the door. So, no, we keep Curly unplugged when the shop is open because he gets up to too much mayhem.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, a plastic pit droid would not exactly be the most effective thing for a bouncer. What can I say? Which is very, very cool. All right. Yes, it will be a fandom night like no other. And in fact, as I said to Aaron, it may actually be more successful on Friday night than when the store actually opened at the end of last year, because people will be absolutely chomping at the bit to get out and about and having a good time. So there you go. Very, very cool. Thomas, yes, he's up for a couple of death sticks. I don't know. I wouldn't have a death stick, dude. I'd just go home and rethink your life. Nerd. Oh, my God. I'm loving it already. So there you go. We haven't even started yet. All right. So we're going to move along. Otherwise, we'll never get into the spirit of the show or what we've got planned. And, of course, we're leading into the Halloween special, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. But before we get there, we got to kick off first with some really, really funky stuff. And, of course, it's the old treasure in the suburbs. So this is a segment where we allow you to actually submit photographs of your collectibles to us so we can put them in the show, show off some of your wares. We've had some fantastic ones already. And so this one tonight, we've got good old Jeffro, who's out in Ballarat in Victoria. And I picked this picture specifically because it was taken like 500 years ago. The Thunderbirds dolls that he's got in his, or the marionettes that he's got in his hands are screen news, the real deal. So I made a point of putting those in, which is a very, very cool. Here's a question from Greg. Will you stream from the store? There'll be streams going on in the bathroom, but not about in the store. What do you reckon, Mr. Aaron?
I think I will probably be too busy to actually do a competent stream. If Dags is around, he might open up the stream. I don't know. He might be like an avant-garde, fly-on-the-wall photographer to catch any of those embarrassing moments that I am sure will happen.
Yeah. Nah, there's the answer. I'm going to be too busy mixing with the nerd. I have no time to be taking pictures. But if somebody wants to do it while we're there, grab our phone and have a bit of fun, it'll just be a bit of a bash. So it'll be good fun for everybody. Anyway, we move on. Otherwise, we'll never get to the end of this. So this is Jeffro's collection. Now, the thing about Jeffro, for those who don't know, his collection spans a few decades. And he actually has a knack for collecting things that people have long since forgotten about and didn't even know even existed. So some of this stuff Aaron is probably going to be really intrigued by, and he hasn't seen these photographs yet. So Aaron, what do you reckon, old son? Bit of a close encounters of the third kind bendable figure. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've known Jethro for a long time. I have a feeling that Jethro introduced you to me at a collectible fair way back in the 89.
Oh, I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I hadn't thought of that. There you go.
Maybe at a Malvern Town Hall fair back in the late 80s.
Don't know. No, I'm not sure. There's a comment from Jared. We could literally do a Twitch. I don't know about you, but I'm twitching all the time. Just the thought of being able to get back in the store. When I look at Aaron's head and he's wearing the shirt with my face all over it, I'm definitely twitching. I'm not twerking. I'm not going to do that, but I'll definitely have a twitch.
Hand out the drinks from the drinks fridge. Everyone will be twitching if they.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right, let's move on. So this is some of the Jeffro collectibles, and he's got a fantastic collection of just unique odds and sods and bits and pieces. Now, remember last week we showed from Spankin, I think it was, he actually had a Ghostbusters can of Coke in his shelf. Well, Jeffro's got a slab of them, so and they're still absolutely mint and wrap, which is absolutely awesome, which is very, very cool. I don't know about you, but I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Now, have you seen this before? This is something probably up your alley.
That's an incredibly hard item to get. Anything from Battle of the Planets, which is Gatchaman in Japanese, is really, really rare. Have never had a boxed one before. The God Phoenix is an incredibly hard ship to get. That's an impressive piece.
Yeah, and there's lots of them like this because Jeffro just has this knack of just getting really, really cool stuff. Now, this is a funny one. It's a 6-foot inflatable Godzilla. And I know for a fact what this is like because one time at a convention, it was actually inflated, put inside the door in the hotel room, right behind the door. And when I walked in, it was right there looking at my face, and I scared the shit out of me. So how about that? That's one way of inflating your ego. What do you reckon?
That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure either that one or one exactly the same used to make it to Doctor Who Club of Victoria beach meetings. And I tell you what, it was always trying to avoid people taking photos of you inflating it because it looked quite rude.
Indeed. Now, here's a comment from Thomas, right? He reckons dangerously like I'll be eating my hat. I didn't say which hat it was going to be, by the way, after tonight. Numbers are up very, very early. Well, there you go. So there's a thing going around that if we break a new record of viewers tonight, I shall be chowing down on some, what can I say, fabrically, that's not even a word, some stuff. How do you want to say it? Because I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
Some head fabric.
That'll do. Very, very cool. All right, we move on. All right, so I didn't realize this was because the box is upside down. It's a Thunderbird 5. You ever seen anything like this before?
Yeah, wow, incredible. Again, I've never seen a boxed one. The Thunderbird 5 is by far the least produced of the Thunderbird vehicles, the space station. They have made a couple of different ones. They made more in Japan than they did in England when Thunderbirds originally came out. So that's another impressive piece. I love how the Japanese take the original and they change the colors. So it almost looks like Thunderbirds with Voltron colouring when they've redone it.
Very, very good. And Jeffro is actually joining us tonight, so I've got to make sure I can be careful of what I say because he's watching everything that's happening right as we speak. So there you go. Now, this is interesting. I can explain this. So once again, it's one of those things that are completely left field. This is actually from newspapers when they used to print the ads in the newspapers for the movie sessions. And this is actually from Planet of the Apes, as you can clearly see. These are the lead blocks that they would use to stamp the images. So it's questionable as to whether they're worth a lot or not much. But the good thing is that Jeffro has them, and just something a little bit left field that most people would never actually see before. So there you go, which is a very, very groovy. There you go. You know, good old Superman. Even the Superman has to have some lunch from time to time. So everything, you've seen this one before, old son?
Yeah, I think you always see these sort of Superman lunch boxes, and I don't think a lot of them were used for lunch. I always see them filled with old action figures and stuff in people's garages. So maybe they did have a small life as lunch boxes, but then they became storage units for old toys.
Very, very cool. Now, this one, I think I had to adjust the colours a little bit. I think it was a little bit faded in the photo, but it has the old Batman Milton Bradley board game. So, if it is a Batman fan, I don't recall seeing this one before. You would have seen this in your travels?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool game, and I love the art on the front as well, where it's got like sort of before, you got all the movies and stuff. There was a much more comic book art towards Batman, where it's become more stuck in a sort of adult kind of imagery these days. So this was back when Batman was still for everyone and still released stuff for kids. So you've got planets and spaceships and Batman and punching people up. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely love it. Okay, there you go. Now it's back to Godzilla again. Of course, what Godzilla needs when he's about to stomp around through Neo Tokyo or Tokyo is an alarm clock.
I have never ever seen that. And do you know what? It's a twin bell one because, you can get those ones with just a bell on one side, can't you?
Yeah. Well, you got two Godzillas, obviously a male version and a female one. And as the old joke, Godzilla says that, some days I wake up grumpy, other days I let her sleep in. So very, very cool. And now I'm glad Jeffro's watching. I have no idea what this is. It's a Knight Rider something.
I think Jeff bought this off of me. I could be wrong. I've only ever seen this once before, and I had it, and it's actually wallpaper edging. So you can get your walls papered like the whole wall. Or you used to be able to get strips of edging. So if you just wanted a border around the top of your room, you could do that as well. So it's wallpaper edging, but it's only about, 20 centimeters tall.
Okay. Very, very, very groovy. So there you go, a bit of Robotech stuff for people out there, bit of the old listen to the movie or the TV show or whatever, and turn the page whenever Robotech blows up or something else. So
Yeah.
oh, look at this. Jeff Rose confirmed that Aaron is correct. Of course, Aaron is correct. He knows his shit. What can I say? So there you go. So there's a bit of and still meat and packet too. So some people are going to be looking at these things going, what the hell's that thing on the top? It's like, it's an audio tape, dude. You remember that? Nah. But that is very, very cool. Here we go. Now, Jeff Rose is a huge fan of Space 1999. It's a stun gun still in the box. What do you reckon there, Mr. Aaron?
Again, really rare. I actually have that, but not a boxed version. Like any Space 1999 stuff is pretty hard to get because although it was a popular show, it didn't sell a lot of merchandise. So you see the Eagles around, which are the spaceships from the show, and some books, but not much else. So the gun is incredibly hard to find. Very rare piece.
Very cool. So, Jeffro, you need to write a message to Aaron that goes, because yours is still in the box. Very, very cool. Back to Robotech again, a Veritech fighter. What do you reckon? Are you seen this
So
one before,
the Veritech fighter, for people who are into Transformers, this is interesting because when they made Transformers, they basically grabbed a whole lot of different toy lines and made them into Transformers. And the Veritech fighter got turned into one of the Transformers. I've forgotten his name, but they can't reissue that as the Veritech fighter now because Robotech has the copyright for it. So that toy is bigger than the Transformers version, an incredibly popular toy. Boxed is, very, very hard to get again, but all the stuff that Jeff's sharing with us is really rare. He's got an absolutely awesome collection.
Very true. Joe, you're a great collection. It's a collection like you would not have seen before, and he's had it for many, many years, and it's just like it literally is a treasure trove of great stuff. So there you go, bit of gold. Popeye, just something a little bit left field. Give us show projector, which is very, very cool. And if the slide ever sticks in the projector, it's not a problem. Just add a bit of olive oil. And yes, because there's always time for lubrication, as they say. So yes, a very, very cool. Who would have known that one of those existed? Actually, is it? It's. I saw Popeye and I realized you got all these other characters as well. So yeah, interesting. It's
so
obviously English because color is spelled the English way. So. Yeah,
yes,
very, very
Stingray
cool.
and Thunderbirds and Doctor Who. Yeah, another really nice item. And Winnie the Pooh, which is one of the Vile's favourite characters.
And Winnie the Pooh will be making a reappearance in tonight's show. But let's move on, shall we? A bit of everybody loves a bit of Chow Down, a bit of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle jelly pieces for each of the characters. Still mint in their packets. How good is that? What do you reckon, old son?
I think Jeff is a collector of my own heart, where if it's like disposable and perishable, instead of eating it and throwing it out, we tend to put it in a box somewhere and keep it. I don't have those. That might be the only set of those that still exist in the whole world, because who keeps the old chocolates like that except you, Dags, and your Batmobile in the fridge?
Yeah, I'm a bit tragic. What can I say? And Jeffro did actually send me through a couple of pictures of things that are non-sci-fi, pop culture related. As this one, a bit of young talent time, children's play cosmetics. There you go. I think I don't know if it's lipstick or nail polish or whatever else, but you too can be a Tina Arena from the 1980s and get stuck right into it. So, have you ever seen anything like this?
Yes, I don't know if it's unfortunate or not, but there are collectibles of a lot of Australiana, and Young Talent Time is one of those shows that people do look for. But again, very, very hard to find, because who would keep stuff like that? I didn't know Jeff collected this kind of thing, so that's really interesting to see.
Yeah, he covers a lot of good stuff. When you hesitated at the start, I thought, I don't say, hi, I'm wearing some of this right now. There you go. Now, how's this? A Skyball. And this, if you wanted to, comes straight out of House of Wax, because there was something like that in the 3D version of House of Wax. But a Streets Skyball, still mint in packet. This goes to show the level of diversity that Jeffro has in his collection, and stuff like this is absolutely awesome. And you might look at this and go, that is grouse. But what tops it off the most? If you want to smell like a real American, you need a bit of Uncle Sam deodorant.
You need Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
I don't know if anyone remembers the ad for Uncle Sam. It had quite a catchy jingle, didn't it, Dags?
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, look at this. Christy was actually begging for the Young Talent Time makeup. Well, there you go. Jeffro's got some in his collection. We have no idea what the quality is like, but I'm sure if you wanted to get on down and become your own version of Danny Minogue, you could knock yourself out with that indeed. Here we go. He has a photograph from Young Talent Time with all the autographs. Oh, very good. Wow. Well, guess what, Ange? I can top you on that one. I've actually been in the audience for Young Talent Time, and I didn't even want to be there. That's another story. So back in 1986. What do you got to... Sorry, dude, I cut you off.
No, I was going to say I was at the audience, not at the TV station. They did a live show at Forest Hill. And I remember my parents wanted to drag me and my brother along and us drag them the other way because we did not want to see it.
Yeah. I know. The irony was I was actually in the audience for the show. There's a long story. I won't tell it. But when they Johnny Young said, how long have people have been waiting for to get into the audience? And they said 1 year, and all these hands went up. And I thought I only just went there that day. So anyway, another story for another time. So there you go. Maybe Friday night, if anybody wants to ask me what's the story of me being in the crowd for Young Talent Time. So there you go. But anyway, let's move on. Otherwise, we'll never get to the exciting stuff. All right, so here we go. We've got a little bit of news. We've kept it pretty short because we've got so much stuff tonight. So there you go. So what are we talking about tonight, Mr. Aaron?
So I thought I'd keep the topic on Ghostbusters because the trailer has dropped for Ghostbusters, the international trailer for the next movie. And there's been a few different announcements. And one of the announcements is HasLab, which is the company that released the Jabba's sail barge and the ship from the Mandalorian, have announced their next product is going to be life-size replica of the Ghostbusters backpack, which is pretty cool. Now, this is the only shot they've shown of it so far. But everyone knows what the Proton Pack is, and I found a picture of what it should look like when it comes out. So that's your Ghostbusters gear with all the different things you need, the half-life of 20,000 years carrying it around on your back, and all the different things you need for busting ghosts. But this is interesting because the HasLab stuff is high-end expensive, and they only go into production if so many fans pre-order it. There have been a lot of sort of homemade replicas of the Proton Pack before. It'll be interesting to see if this lives up to the really accurate fan builds of the same thing, if it lives up to someone like Spankin, who would put it in his collection as a replica rather than make it himself.
That is very, very cool. And it's funny enough, Spankin does actually have a Proton Pack in his collection, but obviously not this one. So, but I like it when they got all these little all these things pointed out. And you go, oh my God, this has got to be the coolest thing in the entire universe. And it's like ribbon cable. Well, that's exciting, isn't it? So there you go. And bumper. Oh, wow. I've got to have myself one of those. But yes, it does look very, very groovy. Put it on. And sorry, go on.
I really hope it's going to be a light and sound version. I really hope it has the power up sound. You know, when you switch it on, it does that sound it makes in the lift where it sounds like the whole thing's going to sort of blow up on them. So that would be very cool. That would definitely be a piece I would love to have.
I've got to show you this. Hang on, give me a second. This is the problem I've got at the moment. Can you see this? You're talking about Ghostbusters, right? I ain't afraid of no ghosts. It's like, get your freaking nose out of it. So there you go.
You know, if you start live streaming pictures of cats, we will get the highest number of people watching ever.
Absolutely, as we should. So there you go. All right, so bloody pain in the ass. All right, so we move on. Where was I? I was talking about this.
So there's some more Ghostbusters news. Now, we've highlighted this product before, but this is just one for everyone, I guess, in Australia who's watching live now. This is on sale at Myer, on the Myer online store at the moment. It's $35 off. It's the Ecto-1 Transformer that transforms from the Ecto-1 into a Transformer robot. This is the second version they've released that is better because it comes with an extra ghost. So these were quite hard to find, and I was really surprised that they turned up on Myer on special. They're only on special till midnight tonight. So there's a little bonus if you're watching the show and into Ghostbusters. After the show, log on to the Myer website and you can pick up Ecto-1 Transformer.
Don't tell them it's tonight. They're going to just bail out. You watch his 21 that we got now is just going to plummet to just you and I, because everybody's going, oh, I've got to get myself an Ecto. It's like, yeah, it'll take me 4 hours to get them bloody Myers at this rate. Here's a comment from Thomas Gorgeous. Well, thanks, Thomas. I do try my best to keep myself in looking in prim condition, so I'm glad you noticed. So, yes, very, very cool. All right. Yes, that is cool. And there's a content, Rico has said, HasLab merge would be worth getting a third mortgage on your house at 19%. Yes, indeedy, duty. So there you go. Natasha and her little dude have the first one, so I'll have to get this one too. So very, very cool. It does look lovely. There's no denying that. All right, there you go.
So there you go. There's it out of the packet in robot mode and in Ghostbuster mode. I think everyone knows Slimer. I think the other one is a ghost from the new movie. The new movie comes out in about a month's time. So we'll know what all that's about then.
Very cool. Love this one from Christy. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Well, she doesn't
Good.
say it like that. You make it sound creepy by saying it like that.
Well, you kind of got it, mate. Yeah, it's what it's all about. So, yes, very, very cool. Well, the cat, obviously, but you're cute too. Oh, Jesus, Thomas, you're getting a bit friendly now, son. It's like, oh, there you go. What a shame you're not a hot-looking babe or something like that. Never mind, we move on. All right, so let's get into it.
We're going to have a new segment called Cats in the Suburbs, and everyone sends in pictures of their cats. That's the kind of adjustment we can pivot the show to make it popular if we want to.
Creepy is best.
Creepy is best.
Keep going.
There we go. So that's the news for this week. Just a couple of Ghostbuster updates for those of us who are into the paranormal.
Very, very cool. And that brings us in time for, once I push the right button, it's time for something useless pop of the week. It's a new segment that's just come up. We only started last week, and it's already like a worldwide global hit. So what are we talking about tonight? What is the most useless pop of the week there, Mr. Aaron?
Well, I came across this researching today's show for Scooby-Doo because I was looking at all the different Scooby-Doo merchandise out there, and sometimes Pops release stuff that is pretty spot on, and sometimes they release Pops and you're like, why would they do that? Now with Scooby-Doo, they released a series of Pops in collectible colors.
Oh,
sorry. So anyone who was after a purple marble effect Scooby-Doo, there's the Pop for you. For me, I cannot understand why they would bother releasing that Pop.
I would argue it was actually a production error. Someone's cocked up all the paints in the thing, and they've come out shit. Instead of throwing out 3,000 of them or 20 of them or 30 of them or whatever, they said, no, we'll just market it as is, be worth millions in the future. And that's how you turn a negative into a positive. So do something completely different. And yeah, I agree with it. See, look, yeah, we see people already saying, what the hell and why and all the rest of it. So, but yeah, I agree that it's just completely stupid. So that'd be my way of looking at it. So,
well, the only
Thomas, what the F is that thing? And by the way, speaking of Thomas, he said his Leo, which is his cat, is in his profile pic. The problem with your picture, it looks like you're about to eat your cat's head. So there you go. Very. Which you might be trying to do. I don't know. So there you go. Even little Luke is saying, what is that? It is a purple Scooby-Doo. So maybe you should snack on it instead. What do you reckon there, Mr. Aaron?
It's a weird, bizarre choice. And the only thing I can think of is my son used to collect Scooby-Doo, and sometimes we see plush Scooby-Doos in different colors. And he would go, I don't have a green Scooby-Doo. I don't have a blue Scooby-Doo. And maybe there's that mentality to it. If they pump out 10 different colors, there are some collectors that have to buy one of each. But you know what I would do with that Pop? I would feed it to Rob Bubo's Bubo dog from Jabba's Palace, and he could turn that Pop into Bubo Pudo, as far as I'm concerned.
Love it. Very, very cool. All right, it's time for us to move on to some of the most exciting aspects of the show. It's Greg King's Cheaper Things. But of course, Greg is not just the normal Greg anymore. He's the soul of Greg King, if you don't mind, umpire. So there you go. How good is that? All right, Mr. Aaron, what are we talking about tonight?
First, I'd like to thank Greg King for all the effort he puts into this segment and all his help every week. I'm incredibly impressed by everything he does. Tonight, though, we've got another reveal because something else turned up. And do you know what turned up? It was the very first thing we ordered, one of these amazing collectible high-end Transformers. So if we look at what we ordered, there's a couple of pictures down the side, but you will see in the description, they guaranteed you will receive at least one, which means you might have got two, but I didn't, at least one of the items listed below. Same order as photos. So all the photos were there, but there's an Optimus Prime worth $150 and a Kids Logic set worth $150, another set worth $190. Jack's Toys Optimus Prime $49, Collector's Trilogy Blu-ray was worth $295. Now I had a feeling that might turn up, and the Blu-ray isn't really worth that, and it's worth like $20. A masterpiece, Thundercracker, valued at $255. There's other ones there, $255, valued at $200. A Cybertron Commander, which I'd have loved, valued at $170. Can you see where this is going, though? Does anyone think that any of those items turned up, or I got anything that was remotely in that value range? What are you thinking, Dags? We know how this goes.
Mate, it was an absolute shoe-in. I mean, I had complete faith in this company from day one. I thought, mate, it's not an issue at all. What could possibly go wrong? And it's this.
So here is the pictures of something we should have got from their list. That is all the pictures. So the middle picture there is purportedly their warehouse with all these amazing items. And then around the edge are all these amazing Transformers. Now, some of those are quite large pieces. So I was very, very confident and waiting an amazing Transformer toy that would turn up. But as some of the people watching may have guessed, no. What did Greg track down? What did we get?
Well, yeah, it's very funny. So Gavin's he's thinking you got a Kinder Surprise. William just said, nah, he doesn't think so. Moneybag Sullivan doesn't think so. So, surely, come on, guys, be positive.
So I got a vivid and in great style deformation toy. And I don't know if that means deformation because they've like ripped it off, or it's meant to be deformed because it doesn't look like a real Transformer at all. But the best thing, it came, again, not in a box, but in like a shipping bag. So it was absolutely crushed and mashed. You can probably see in the box, in a couple of the pictures there, you can see on the side sort of just the black plastic that it came wrapped in. But it came like it was stomped on. And I could tell that this was a quality piece before I opened it because I could not feel any weight to it at all. And if you get a good toy, it's pretty heavy, but this felt like there was a box with nothing in. So the plastic is as light as air, which you probably don't want when you're getting, a Transformer that you've paid a bit of money for.
Mark's on the right. Yeah, it's door price for Friday night. Totally agree, Mark. Yeah, remember, turn a negative into a positive. So there you go. And I like this one. Yeah, the box is deformed.
So I don't know if you can give me the full screen, Dags.
You want the full screen?
Yeah, I'll just do
a quick. Give me a second. Sorry, I've done this for a while. Yep, there we go.
Sorry, I'll just do a quick turnaround of the box. Now, look how thin they managed to get that. And I think if you can hear, you can tell the quality just by the sound. You can tell it's one of those cheap and nasty reject shop ones. So again, not exactly what I was expecting and nowhere near the quality that was advertised or even a product. It doesn't even look close to one.
Man, what can I say? It's relatively it's relatively close. So at least it's still you've kept it mint in box. That's the most important thing. So yeah, they're very, very cool. Love it.
Yes. So the closest one to it that was in the pictures was probably the Optimus Prime. Now the Optimus Prime pictured there is probably 2/3 bigger than the one I got. It's just the different size from the aspect of the photos I've taken. Deformation is exactly right. It looks like a deformed Transformer. Even the cars and stuff on the packaging look really good compared to the actual piece of plastic crap that is inside the box.
With that in mind, Jeffro has said rip it off the box, and I suppose that'll probably happen on Friday night if it doesn't happen here. Now, there's two funny things here, right? Ange says it looks like a collectible to me. I agree with you, Ange. I'm working on it. I reckon 10 years from now it'll be worth millions. You watch an Aaron Collectible store have all these zeros next to the original zero. And Thomas, mate, it's not a disappointment. It is fun because it's actually bringing entertainment to the masses, including the audience right here. So that's exactly right. And sit tight, Mr. Moneybag Sullivan. Regarding the other items, we'll get to them very, very soon. So there you go. Deformation. Absolutely awesome. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon it's another one that goes into the crinoid thumbs down. So what do we think about this product then, Dags?
I reckon that's, what do you think? Poor value.
Poor value. So that cost us $45. And if you went down to your local reject shop, you could probably get it in there like $5.99 bin or something like that. So this is going to be another PayPal claim. But I thought with this one, before I do the PayPal claim, I'm going to send them some feedback and see if I can get a dialogue going with them, see if we can have a bit of fun. So we'll come back to that in a week or two if we can get someone.
All right. I love this one from. No, sorry. Hang on. Whoop, wrong one. Sorry. Good old Diggo said it was run over by the forklift when they were picking it up to send it over to you. And no, Gavin, it is not defecation. It's deformation. So you got your F's and C's all a bit mixed up there. So there you go. But we move on because that's not the end of it.
No. Well, you can see there that now in Greg King's garage sale, we've got down in the free stuff the Clone Trooper helmet, the Jumanji game, which was the Trivial Pursuit, which was the Snakes and Ladders, and now we've got the busted up Transformer Defamation pack. So his garage sale is getting chockers with the stuff we're ordering.
I love it. You still call that a Clone Trooper helmet, whereas anything but a helmet. But now to answer Moneybags of Sullivan's question.
So last week, the last thing I got from them was the top of that thing where they said, don't email us anymore, don't be a menace and try to hack into our accounts. I emailed them one more time and I haven't got a reply, but I said, hello, dear friends at SJ Customer Service Team. I'm sorry, I didn't think I was being a menace. I thought I was providing a free service. The Soul Greg King is a good man and a good judge of top shelf quality value products. He is also an expert on cheap and nasty vermin encrusted fire hazards that smell like burnt rubber, like your mask. The Soul Greg King is well known here of being a man of exceptional taste and also being able to find treasure for $2 at a garage sale. This is why he is perfect to critique your item and why he has a segment on our show. Are you going to give me a refund or a genuine replacement helmet, replacement item? Your friend Aaron. Now, I sent that about a week ago and I haven't got a reply this time, which probably means they've stretched out the 30 days I have to do a PayPal claim and I've been put in their block or delete bin and I will never hear from them again. But we had fun.
I've got to say, we've actually single-handedly turned Greg King from just being a normal Doctor Who dude into a true legend of the universe. So there you go. He'll be like, it won't be long before he's like walking into shopping centers and people go, oh, is that the Greg King? It's like, no, he's not Greg King. He's Soul Greg King. So there you go.
I think it's his segment, and you can see in the picture there as we go along, I will add more quotes about him that these shows, these sellers say about him. And in that one, now under the Greg King from the Transformer, I've added vivid and in great style, I think it is, because that's how the Transformer was described. And nothing describes Greg better than that, does it?
You know what's going to happen? One day we're going to be in the store with you and I, and people are going to turn up and say, well, I'm only here to see the Soul Greg King. Where is he? And it's like, well, we have to book in his social calendar because the guy is just in demand. How good is that? Very good. Got the table of shame.
Here we go. The first thing we ordered on August the 28th turned up this week, so it took 2 months to arrive. It is obviously not worth the $45 we paid for it, so it gets a Greg King crinoid thumbs down rejected. We still haven't got the Halloween set that they guaranteed we would get for Halloween, so that's a bit disappointing. That was a random Halloween horror figure, which we ordered on September the 18th, and we've ordered the headpiece to the Staff of Ra, and we've also ordered the Alice in Wonderland cuckoo clock. There is a slot there at the bottom. If anyone sees anything come across anywhere on the internet, but on their Facebook feed that looks too good to be true, PM me and I will order it. Now, Sully did show me a link, but I'd already ordered the headpiece to the Staff of Ra, which was pretty similar. It was another Indiana Jones. But if anyone wants me to get one of those crappy advent calendars that they're advertising or anything else, let me know. I do find what is interesting. I used to get this come up on my page all the time. Since I've done a PayPal claim and got the money back for some of the stuff, it's stopped coming up on my page. So I don't know if that's triggered to I've got a black mark on me now. But anyone else who finds stuff and you're thinking about getting it, don't get it. Send the link to me and I'll buy it and we'll investigate it together.
So with that in mind, Gavin has said you're going to end up with having a worldwide block from buying online. The funny thing about that, Gavin, if that's true and someone says, sorry, we're blocking you from buying online from our store, we'll just put it on this show and we still get like success out of it. So yeah, it's exactly right. And Mark, just so you know, because we're on StreamYard, if you send through a picture, we can't see it. Okay, other people on Facebook can see it, but we can't. Aaron and myself, because we are not on Facebook in the show. So there you go. Yep. All right. So as we move closer to good old Halloween, which is only a handful of days of time. And as of course we all know, it's actually a weekend of absolutely horrific and horrible and terrible things. With that in mind, it's time for a bit of the Lord Vile's Vile File.
So yes, the Lord Vile is out of lockdown and traveling the world again, looking for particularly vile items to share with us. So he's gone back to Disneyland because we've had quite good feedback about the Disney stuff. So he's sent a Lord Vile's postcard from Disneyland out of lockdown special. So he's gone back to delve back into the Magic Kingdom and see what he can find.
I love this one from Colin. Maybe the SJ customer team will make an appearance on Friday night. That'd be what we have to do is we can counteract that. We say, Greg, are you doing anything on Friday night? Come on down to Aaron's store, dude. We'll sort them right out. So no worries. All right. So we're going to violate some stuff from Disneyland. Oh, geez, I tell you what, they've given us some good items over the past few weeks, and they still are. So what do we got?
So this is just an apology to Disney because we used this Winnie the Pooh item before, and I said when the file sent it to us that I couldn't find the complete item anywhere online. So it looks like Pooh is reclining with I don't know, with a cone coming out of his genitals. But of course, when you actually see the correct toy, the complete toy, it's perfectly fine because now you have Piglet covering the top of his willy. So no problem at all. So apologies to Disney for the first one where we kind of shamed them on that.
I like this, how even our audience are now looking out for the rest of the audience. So Joe said to Thomas to put his wine away because Thomas has said in the past he sort of spills his wine when he's watching the segment. So, and Thomas has said he has done so. So there you go. So it's good to see you're all looking out for each other, kids. It's a bit like Hill Street Blues here, isn't it, really? So there we go. Oh, cop that. So
the Winnie the Pooh toy wasn't rude, but we've got a Tigger warning, not a trigger warning, a Tigger warning. The Tigger plush that's available at Disneyland also looks quite rude. I think that's Tigger likes to bounce, but you know what? I don't know if anyone wants to bounce on that Tigger when he has got his tail coming up from between his legs like that. So that is a real product available from the soft toy section, and we thought that Winnie the Pooh was hogging the spotlight on all the inappropriateness, but it turns out that Tigger likes to get, in on the action as well.
Tell you what, see, in the one on the right-hand side, he's walking next to the cute girl, so no wonder he's doing the pole vault action. Lucas said, what is that? Get your father to explain it to you. Oh, God, that's just something. Oh, gee, I like it. He's not a soft toy. Absolutely love it. That's just so. That's just so wrong.
Yes.
Anyway.
And the Vile has also sent us a Vile news bulletin because it's related to Winnie the Pooh. So apparently this is what happened in a Chinese zoo. The Great Escape, or how a man dressed as a very bad tiger costume was hunted down in zoo security drill. So in a Chinese zoo, they dressed up a guy as Tigger, released him into the zoo, and then the zoo staff tracked him down, shot him with a tranquilizer, and took him, we hope it was a tranquilizer, because that last picture there with the tiger watching on almost looks like they're going to feed him to the tiger or put him in the in the tiger cage. But this was apparently... Yeah.
Not going to feed him to the... They're going to put him in the tiger cage, and of course the tiger's feeling a tat on the frisky side. It's going, hello, what have we here? In tiger speak, of course. Sorry,
well, we've already seen that Tigger was a bit frisky in the last picture, but this is a real news story, and I thought, do you know what? If you're a mascot at Disney wearing the Tigger uniform, you get beloved hugs and looks and pictures from kids and tourists all over the world. If you wear a Tigger costume in a Chinese zoo, they shoot you and they throw you in the tiger cage. So the Vile has spread out into news and information. He's really spreading his tentacles everywhere.
Yeah, good on you, Thomas. He's laughing so hard. So yes, putting your wine down was actually the right move after all. All right.
So we're moving out of the 100 Acre Wood. and we're into the digital realm. And one of the Vile's favourite recent Disney cartoons is Wreck-It Ralph. So there's not a lot of Wreck-It Ralph merchandise out there, but the Vile still has a couple of favourite pieces. So these are the Vile's undies. I presume he wears these every single time he watches the show, because what's more appropriate than undies with Wreck-It on them and Ralph popping out of the crotch section with his hands up ready to rock things. The other thing, the Vile picked up a bargain. You can see that the Ralph at the top there is on special at clearance at a Disney section in a toy shop. But if you look at Ralph's fingers, he's not happy about being on special, and you can see he's protesting by using some very inappropriate gestures.
It's a universal sign language, that one. Yep.
Yeah, it is. And then down the bottom there, we have one of the candy racers, and I have to say that looks like some very hard candy that she's driving, doesn't it, Dags?
Yeah, exactly. Open up and say that's all I can say. So there, yeah, very, very cool. Yes, exactly right. He's flipping the Ralph in this case. So yes, exactly. Very, very, very cool.
There we go.
Now this you can, because of the way this segment is, you can interpret this image in many different ways. But come on.
You really can. Now, you think we're going to show you something bad about Hannah Montana, who is Miley Cyrus, but we're not. This is actually, while on his Disney stint, the Vile, Lord Vile, is actually doing something nice. He is getting candy together to give out on our Halloween special to the trick-or-treaters that turn up at the Vile Villa this Halloween. And the one he decided to load up on because it's cheap and on clearance, they're getting rid of it for some reason, is the Hannah Montana concert candy. So there can be nothing bad. So the concert candy is actually guitar and microphone shapes. I think the trouble is most of the guitars and microphones are pink and purple. The Vile actually said he might keep the purple ones because he likes those. But this is the official Disney released concert candy from Hannah Montana, and the Vile has collected a whole lot of this that he will be.
Oh yes, it is.
Oh yes, it is. Concert candy. So this will be the official Halloween.
Oh Jesus
candy.
Christ!
Sorry, I can't get through it. This will be the official Halloween candy given out by the Violet Halloween. So if you would like to have a suck or a chew on that candy, get on your best costume or your worst costume and head on down to the Sith Vile Villa, and you can get some of this in your trick-or-treat bag.
Oh, I can't put on the screen because it's really crossing the line. But I tell you what, God, now it's all gone blurry. I can't read any of that. Sorry, hang on. Whoa. What'd you say? Sorry.
The worst thing about this is an official product released by Disney. Now you can buy bag of Dick candies, but this isn't advertised as this. This is actually advertised for little girls, I guess, mainly, who want to buy Hannah Montana candy for. Not just for Halloween, but to because they like the show. But this is an official product, and the Vile has a warehouse full of it now because he loves it so much.
I love the comment from Jared. That's what set me off, but I can't put on the screen. It's just crossing a line. But I tell you what, it's funny as. Yes, you're right, Jared. Why are they skin tone? Who knows? But you are right. It's just unbelievably dodgy, isn't it? So, but we move on, please.
Okay, we're going to move on because that we lowered the tone of the show there. The Vile, I don't know if he's serious about that or if he really is going to hand it out next week, but on the weekend. But we're going to look at Tarzan because Tarzan is another one of the Vile's favourite cartoon movies and one of those areas of Disney that's more recent and we haven't really had a look at yet. So what's the Vile found for us from the Tarzan Disney movies?
Oh, I could do it. The snake's it.
It turns out that Tarzan's a bit of a snake charmer. Here we have two different versions of Vine Jam and Tarzan. So it looks like, I guess, a vine. I thought it looks more like a snake, but it's a vine. But Tarzan likes to do some vine jamming when he's in the jungle. I don't know why they wouldn't call it Vine swinging or something, but Vine jamming, the way he's holding it and the way it's coiled up in his lap and hanging out down between his legs as well. I mean, I don't know what the product, the people who designed the product were thinking, but it couldn't get any worse than that, could it, Dags?
Exactly right. There was a comment earlier, I've sort of lost it now, but saying all these products were signed off by multiple people. So you do wonder how these got through. You're right, Christy. You do wonder, right? But hang on. Oh, sorry about that. But we move on.
Yep. So next we have another couple of Tarzan and Jane figures. Well, that's exactly what Tarzan looks like he's doing, because the figure down the bottom middle of Tarzan was actually banned. And if you look, I've included a picture that the Vile sent me of the back of the box, and it actually says on the back of the box, Tarzan is going and it says, press to make his arm rise and hear him do his jungle call. So already someone has a weird idea of what kids want from their Tarzan toys, because I don't know if I was a little boy getting an action figure, if Tarzan doing that and doing a jungle call would be the thing I'd want from my toy anyway. And I've just accompanied that with a screenshot of Tarzan inspecting Jane's leg for absolutely no reason at all.
Love it. Now we're going to video here, probably see if this plays. Here we go. This is what it looks like when you're.
So the Bile sent us a video of this toy in action. So this is the action that this toy does. So maybe now we've seen it, we can understand why this was recalled and banned. It's not exactly what you think you're going to get with a Disney toy, is it? What action is he doing there, Dags?
I don't know, but all I can think is watch out for that tree.
Wrong franchise. That's yes. So there we have it. That's the Vile's latest out of lockdown postcode from Disneyland. He has had a look at Tigger. He has had a look at Wreck-It Ralph. He's bought some concert candy, and he has investigated Tarzan. So I would have to say, Dags, that all of those Disney franchises have now been well and truly violated.
I love this comment from Luke. Oh, now he gets it. I don't know which bit you didn't get, Luke, but have a chat to your father about that. So there you go. Thomas is like losing his load over there, as you should. Oh, my goodness gracious me. So I like this from Rigo. I know for a fact we have a similar toy Venom in the shop with the same web swinging action. Absolutely love it. So there you go. How good was that? Oh, my goodness gracious me. Some of those comments are absolutely awesome.
We do have to say at this point, the Halloween show is coming up, and the Vile has a longer than normal episode. He's assembled some stuff on Halloween cosplay and trick-or-treat costumes that I think you're going to all find pretty interesting.
Very good. All right, we need to move along. We are already running late, but whatever. All right, it's actually one of the most popular segments on this entire show, funnily enough, and we get people coming out of the woodwork for this. But so we're very, very cool stuff. So what are we gasbagging about tonight, Mr. Aaron?
Well, I thought because we're doing a special Scooby-Doo episode, we'll look at animation cells. And the problem with animation cells, most of the good ones are sold overseas because there's not a lot of animation houses in Australia. There are some great shops like Silver K Gallery and places like that, but they don't sell on eBay. So we've made the rare exception of opening this rip it off the card eBay search worldwide, but we are going to be looking at everything in Australian dollars. So we're looking at animation cells tonight.
So I think most people are familiar with this, but if you haven't, you just got to take a guess as to what you think the item sold for. Don't Google it. Don't look it up. It's just a bit of fun and games. And we're going to kick it off with a bit of this. What do we got?
So we're looking at Scooby-Doo tonight, and this is a Scooby-Doo animation cell. This is an original production cell, and a production cell means it was painted for the cartoon and used in the cartoon. And this is Freddy and Scooby from the 1970s. It doesn't have the original background. It has a laser background, but it is an original setup with Freddy and Scooby-Doo from the 70s. That's a nice animation cell.
All right, so just what did people just write down what you think it actually sold for? Once again, we're doing this in Australian dollars, so we'll kick that off. Okay. Oh, sorry. Joel said 700. Jared said 1,100. Natasha and the little dude is at 300. Jess has got an extra 1,000 on top of that. Spankin who's joining us tonight, which is absolutely fantastic because, you know, when talk about Spanker, that can only mean one thing. Yeah, it took me a while to get there. I had to find the right button. Where are we? Spanker. Carol's at 960, Mark's at 1,000, Ange is at 600, Thomas at 3,200, Chrissy's at 570, Moneybag Sullivan is at 500, Collins at 1,500, Gavin's at 4,000, Rob's at 600, Williams at 1,500. Bob, good to see Bob joining the show, is at 1,800. Violating Fred and Scooby is the Vial at 25,550. Luke is at 1,000. Rigo said a bag of Scooby Snacks is what they're actually worth. Jimmy, who's joining the show as well, which is absolutely fantastic, is $1,500. So there you go, an animation cell. And of course, the funny thing about these, because they have to produce hundreds, if not thousands, for an episode. Yeah, if one sold for $1 squillion, they could just sell them all off and make buy a couple of planets or something. So, yes, very, very cool. All right, so Scooby-Doo animation production cell from Hanna-Barbera from the 1970s, Scooby and Fred, and it went for a whopping. Hold on to your hat. Oh, here we go. Greg's just chucked in. We'll do that for $2 at a garage sale. Oh, geez, Mr. Greg King, the soul Greg King. Well, guess what? It went for a whopping, and if you can't see that, is $480 round figures in Australian dollars.
So $480. I actually think that is cheap for a Scooby-Doo cell like that. I've seen just Scooby-Doo and not great cells and not great positionings go for more than that. So I think someone got a bargain, but maybe that's to do with it being in America and stuff like that goes for more in Australia because there's a lot less of it around.
I'm not sure. Christy said 570. She's $100 over, and that might be it. Most people are in the thousands. So, and I agree, cheap. Yeah, absolutely. Considering what it is, and it's the production cell too, so it's a bit of a big deal. But yeah, off the top of my, hang on. Yeah, I think it might have gone to. I think it was Christy, wasn't it? So yeah, well done, good stuff. So just goes to show, not all these things are worth a lot of money. So yeah, keep that in mind. All right, next one along.
Now it's a bit hard to see from the picture. This is a framed cell, so it is an original cell as well. It's Shredder and Baxter Stockman from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It comes with a certificate of authenticity. Back in the 90s, they sold a lot of these off through different stores, and they all came with certificates of authenticity. And like Dag said, when they made Ninja Turtles, they must have had, squillions of them. So you could buy in different stores these cells, and Ninja Turtles was one that was sold around a lot. So the trick was finding a good cell with a nice picture on. This one had 9 bids, so there was a bit of interest in it. How much do you think this would go for? And it's framed for free. You get the frame and everything.
So Moneybag Sullivan didn't actually get the last one, so he ends up ahead by about $40. So yeah, sorry about that. I missed that altogether. So very, very cool. All right. Bob has said 900 for this. Ange is at $11. Oh, there's a one extreme price to the other. $450 for Mark. Carol's at $350. Collins at $550. Gavin has said $7,000. Oh, golly. $570 for Jared. And Mick, good to see Mick in the show, doing an awesome job as always at $680. Joel's at $700. Moneybag Sullivan's at $650. Rob is at $150. Thomas is at $900. Connie joining the show tonight, which is absolutely awesome, is at $620. Williams at $1,500. Luke is at $485. Natasha and the little dude is $675. Jimmy is at $550. Violating this is at the Vial at $1,500. Christy's at $350. Good old Spankers at $800. Christy, hang on, sorry, Christy's popped up twice, has she? Oh no, Christy, sorry, has a $320. And okay, hang on, Vial, don't start changing your answers. You start confusing the crap out of you. So 1,701. So very, very cool. All right, Shredder and Baxter Stockman from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What do you reckon it went for? It looks like it's even framed and everything, ready to hang on the wall, looking very, very cool. It went for a whopping $24.50.
Now, this is one of those that I wish I'd found and bought myself, even with the postage from America. That is an incredibly cheap price for an original cell. But that's the beauty about this. I search and search till I find something that went for a crazy amount one way or the other. But that was another cheap bargain for a production cell. That's pretty good. And being like 2 villains as well, because you find a lot of the cells of the Turtles, but not so much of Shredder.
Yes, and it was the first bid that got this. Good old Ange. Actually, he's still got to cough up an extra $15 or so, but that's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, like only $25. I mean, bloody hell, that's just insane.
I mean,
I'll tell you who didn't get it. Gavin at 7,000. So way off target.
The frame's worth more than that.
Yeah. Hey, what?
The frame's worth more than $24.
Yes, actually, it is too. So yeah, you're right. Sorry, Gavin. It's like, oh yeah, right. So how insane is that? Anyway, but we move right along.
Okay, this is another very cool one. It's a single cell of Slimer from the Ghostbusters. It's quite a good cell because it's a large area of the cell is him. So he's right in the center there. It has a laser background. So again, it's a production cell with a laser background, which would have been how it appeared in the cartoon. Because for anyone who collects cells, the backgrounds are a lot harder to get. There's one background that's used for the whole scene, but there's thousands of cells used on that one scene. So getting a cell and background that match up is always going to be more expensive. But this is a nice Slimer, an iconic character from Ghostbusters. How much?
Joel's kicked it off at 600. Natasha and the little dude. Hang on, sorry. And the little dude with Natasha is at 1,500. Bob is at 650. Collins at 60. Spankin's at 170. Natasha says, I want it. Well, you could have had it, but it's already sold, I'm afraid. Hang on. Thomas is at 3,500. Mick is at 375. The cool dude. 750 for Jared. Williams at 1,500. Moneybag Sullivan's at 75. Ange is at 11. He's staying with the cheap prices for this one. Connie's at 985. Connie's at 985. Chrissy's at 135. Rob is at 75. Violating a Slimer is the Vile at 500. Jimmy said 1,000. Carol said 500. Mark said 250. Carol said 550. And Luke has said a 538. So there you go. A real mixed bag of bunnies for sure. And Slimer being a very popular character, you would have to think that this would actually have a bit of value associated with it. So what do you think it went for? It went for, and it is vintage after all, it went for a whopping $35.
Now, the crazy thing about this one, the guy that sold it sold a whole run of these ones. He must have had all the Slimers from that scene, and some were going for hundreds of dollars and some were getting one bid. And this was the cheapest one out of all of them. So again, if you wait, and I don't know why this one went cheaper than all the others, but you can still pick up a bargain on eBay. I have to start looking at animation cells to get for the shop, because if you can get them for this price, they do go for quite a lot of money.
I actually think at my initial investigation, good old Ange at $11 again.
Yeah,
he's got to cop up 25. He could be the go.
Someone said 1 cent, but I think Ange pipped them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to read through it all, but Ange said, yeah, whatever. So I think Ange has got it. So there you go. I tell you who didn't get it. It was Jimmy at 1,000. So there we. Oh, gee, Jared, she's well, it's a bit like that, isn't it? And gang, I like that, Gavin. He got closer this time. It's like, yeah, well, but close to no cigar. So there you go. All right, so you got the theme, right? Not all these things are worth a lot of money. But there you go. Which Ghostbusters series? Who knows? Whatever brings in the most amount of money is the answer to that question.
That was from
Here we go. Look at this. Oh, the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings from the 70s. Yeah, mate.
So this is another interesting one. Ralph Bakshi Studios actually set up their own eBay account, have been selling off all their own animation for years and years and years, like a good 20 years. They must have millions of cells, and they sell off the Wizards and Heavy Metal and Lord of the Rings and Fritz the Cat and all those fantastic movies that they made in the 70s and the 80s. This is one of those classic scenes from Lord of the Rings where the hobbits have just left the Shire and a dark rider is searching for them. And it's almost the same scene in the Peter Jackson movie where they're hiding in the roots of the tree and the dark rider is looking over the top there. And the great thing about all the Ralph Bakshi stuff, if you want, he will autograph it, or he will autograph and dedicate it, because he's the one running the auction, so he can sign anything you want. So this is a Ralph Bakshi original production cell, again with a laser background of the hobbits and the dark rider from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, actually, in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, he sometimes actually deliberately frames shots to mimic the animated series as a homage to that. Unfortunately, they never actually finished the rest of the series of Lord of the Rings, the Ralph Bakshi version, but it was actually one of the first films, and the one prior to that, Wizards, that pioneered some really, really funky visual effects with rotoscoping and all the rest of it. So it was made in the mid-70s. Anyway, we move on. All right, so Jared said 69. Carol said 55. The prices are plummeting now. People are thinking, it's all cheap shit now tonight. 560 from Joel. Mix at 2,200. Gavin's at 763. Andrew's sticking with his $11. He's on a roll. He's got 2 out of 2 so far. Good old Moneybag Sullivan's at 70. Rob's at 45. Bob, you like this one? 325. Actually, like it too, to be frankly honest with you. It was a good movie too. Shame it didn't get finished. The series. Thomas is at 2,400. Williams at 1,500. Christie's at 85. Luke is at 574. Natasha's gone ultra cheap with the little dude at $38. Connie's at 1,550. Moneybag. The Spankin is at 15. Good old the violating the ring race is the vial at 350. Collins at 65. Jimmy's at 1,350, and Greg King is chucked in his $2. What can he say? Nothing better to spend it on. So there you go. The original Ralph Bakshi version. Some people didn't even know this version even existed until the Lord of the Rings movies came out in the early 2000s. So what do you reckon it went for? Everything's been going super cheap so far. Is this going to be exactly the same? This went for a whopping... Look at that, $1,594. So broke the system. And what do you reckon?
I think someone did say 1,500, didn't they? So
yeah, William said that. Yeah, he's the first one that I've seen so far. But yeah,
well done. Well done. And Phil slipped in right at the end there, but we had already gone past. So he said 60. That was way off. So sorry he couldn't slip that in, Slippery Phil. But I think what is really cool is you get to buy that from the original artist. And I've got to say, you don't really get, when you buy stuff on eBay, the original artist of movies and animation selling themselves that much. But Ralph Bakshi obviously is one who is funding his retirement by selling off what's in his warehouse. So that's pretty cool.
I love this one from Thomas. He's happy because he's closer by $1,000. So there you go. Very, very good. Yes, you're right, Jared. Another thing you won't get from Greg King. But I reckon this is actually good to see something that actually went for a bit of money. It's one of the most famous scenes from the Ralph Bakshi version. Up to our last item. Oh, what's this going to do to people out there?
Now, surely this is going to break all records, isn't it? It's Mickey Mouse. Everybody loves Mickey Mouse. It's an old cell, so it's a black and white one from the 30s, which is pretty rare. You don't see anything from that era. I mean, even if they made tens of thousands, there can't be that many of them left in existence. But this is an original production cell from 1931, a Mickey Mouse short from Walt Disney, Traffic Troubles. I don't actually remember this cartoon, but it probably is on Disney Plus. So that might have made it go for a bit more. Who knows? It might go for $20.
I love to say traffic troubles in 1931. In 2021, we've still got traffic troubles on the Westgate Freeway and all the rest of it. So nothing's changed in like 80 years. All right, so there you go. 1931, a bit of MOCKY action. So what do you reckon this would have gone for, kiddies? All right, Jared's kicked us off at 1,900. Thomas has said 9,000. Oh, some big dollars. Ange, even I think at $11, you got no hope. Natasha and the little dude is at 5,000. Luke is at 11. Yeah, Luke, this is like a couple of generations before your time. Gavin said 10,000. Carol said 18,000. Oh, violating Mickey Mouse. Oh, I'll pay $1 to see that. Is the vial at 25 grand. By contrast, Christie's gone the $14. I can't see that happening. Joel said 590. Colin said 3,000. Spanking. Oh, look at he's spanking out $30,000 for this. Connie said 1,850. William said 1,500. Mika said 3,300. Rob, I don't think I got my chance at $11 on this one, dude. Hang on. Thomas has changed his mind. Oh, you're kind of lucky I'm letting this happen at 25,000. Jimmy's at 1,500. Daniel has said Moneybag Sullivan's at 1,500. Oh, okay, Ange, $1 million. You never know. That's the thing. You never know. Bob has said 10,700. Good old Phil's joining us at 1,700. What do you reckon? I think this has got to have some dollar signs written up. 1931 under Walt Disney original. And it's been used. Where was it used? It was used actually in the show. It went for a whopping, and this is going to be a bit of a bank breaker, 52,980, 53 grand, round figures. What do you reckon?
So that one is a surprising one, but it is more in line with what you see animation go for. And I think it is one of those things where eBay can be a bit of a garage sale flea market. And if these things go into sort of heritage auctions or bottoms auctions and get hyped up in catalogues, they go a lot more for these prices. If you go to the Silver K Gallery in Victoria, you can find some amazing animation. All the original cells, they've got a really nice setups, and all the other art they've got there is amazing and limited edition too, but you're also paying a premium for it. Whereas when you find stuff on eBay, you can get it a lot cheaper. Obviously, with something from 1931, there isn't a lot of it around, so you're going to be hard-pressed finding it anywhere. So obviously, there is still a lot of people who collect Disney memorabilia, and 1931 is very, very early Disney, and it commands a high price. So there you go. That's probably, apart from some of the comics, one of the highest priced items we've had on our Rip It Off the Card eBay section.
So I'll tell you who didn't get it. That was Ange at $11. So Ange, you had no hope, son. But Spankin is probably the closest. But what?
Spankin at 30,000, I think, got it, didn't he?
Yeah, I've got on the screen. Just slow down, son. Just take it easy. But he's still got to cough up an extra 23 grand. So there you go, Spankin. You have to sell some stuff if you want to buy this. Nobody was even remotely close. Isn't that absolutely insane? So, Ange, you were way off. You think? So there you go. Very, very good. You're right, Jared. It's not even a good shot. It's not even a good sell. It's because of its vintage more than what it actually represents. And if it was a good shot of Mickey, you could probably put a few extra zeros on top of that price, and maybe it would have actually hit the $1 million, which would have meant that whoever went for $1 million may have actually got it. So there you go. See, how good is that? And speaking of things which are absolutely awesome, don't forget, if you don't know about it already, on Sunday night, it's only a few nights away, we've got our Halloween special, and it's going to be an absolute ripper, okay? So it's here Sunday night, 8 o'clock, October 31st. Yay, team. Anything you want to say about this particular episode, Mr. Aaron?
No, just it's a bit different from the regular episodes. Not everything we have is on it, and we'll be looking more at the horror theme with a lot of laughs and a lot of fun. So hopefully you can join us if you're not out trick-or-treating.
Very good. I love it. Spankin said he's happy to give up his firstborn. Now, is the firstborn worth more than 23 grand? Yeah, probably. So there you go. Very, very, very cool. And you are right, Mr. Jared. If it was Steamboat Willie, then it's a lot more zeros added on to the price. So there you go. Madness. Well, that's just what collecting is all about, Mr. Joel. So there you go. But anyway, join us on Sunday night for the show. It is going to be an absolute ripper. Anyway, it's time for our feature presentation. We're going completely left field from our usual sci-fi sort of like genres because we're leading into Halloween. And what are we talking about tonight, Mr. Aaron?
Well, jump on a trip to us to Coolsville, and we're talking about Scooby-Doo. So Scooby-Doo is one of those shows, I think everyone has seen at least one episode. Love it or hate it, or love it up until Scrappy-Doo entered it, or love the movies, or love the new series, or gaming, or comics, or other media. Amazingly, Scooby-Doo is probably the most popular out of all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, possibly one of the most popular cartoons ever that launched on television, and has pretty much continued to be made in some form or the other since 1969. So hopefully, even though this isn't sort of your sci-fi, horror, action, pop culture collectibles, you'll stick with us and take a trip down memory lane as we talk about Scooby-Doo.
Very, very cool.
So this is the Scooby-Doo timeline, and it does show that it has really been around through just about everyone's childhood who grew up, in the 70s and 80s. The original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Was a cartoon pitch that was very different from shows that were on Saturday morning at the time. And they went in and pitched it, and Hanna-Barbera didn't know if it was going to be popular. And then apparently it was so popular, every pitch for about the next 10 years was about a group of crime-solving teens with their insert different animal here that helped them. So you'd have like Jabberjaw or Josie and the Pussycats and all these other shows that sort of mimic Scooby-Doo. But Scooby-Doo was the original, and I would say the best. And the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And everyone remembers the theme tune and everything like that, only ran from 1969 to 1970. So it's so entrenched in popular culture and everybody knows it, but it only went for a couple of years, way back in the late 60s, early 70s. And of course, it was so popular. they changed it to the new Scooby-Doo movies, because what happens when you get popular, it happened with the Batman TV show, you suddenly get all these popular celebrities that want to be involved. And, you know, can I do a voice on Scooby-Doo, and can I be involved in Scooby-Doo? And what they did, they go, yes, of course you can, because if you get someone popular involved who isn't from, you know, kids' cartoons, and they're in the movies or something like that, you get an expanded universe, expanded audience. So when you have people like Don Knotts or Jonathan Winters, that were big comedians at the time, want to go on Scooby-Doo, or Sonny and Cher and things like that, they say, okay, we're going to do a series of movies. So the second series was the Scooby-Doo movies.
I love this comment from Gavin. Right now, for those who remember "Strangers in the Night," the song, it's like Scooby Dooby Doo. That's just from a joke from way back, and I saw that and I thought, oh, that's actually really, really cool. And of course, for those people who love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they'll remember that the gang was known as the Scooby Gang, which is a direct link to this. And apparently, I believe there was actually some legal issues that went on, because they said, hang on, you can't actually call them the Scooby Gang, because that, you know, they don't have the rights to do that, so they just call them the Scoobs. But for a period of time, it was a bit iffy there. So yeah, a nice subtle little link back to the original show. So very, very cool. But anyway, we move on.
Okay, so we skip all the other shows. They went all through right up to current. The first sort of Scooby-Doo merchandise to come out were the comic books, and they started pretty much soon after the show went out. It was such an instant hit that Golden Key picked up the license and started producing Scooby-Doo comics straight away. That original Scooby-Doo comic there, #1 with the Black Knight, is an adaptation of the very first episode of the show. That one's graded. Now, everyone knows superhero comics and all of the Batman and popular comics go for a bit. Dags, how much do you think an issue 1 of Scooby-Doo would cost you? Do you have a ballpark, do you think?
Be a lot of money. Anything in issue 1 in good condition, 50-something thousand.
No, not quite as much. The original Scooby-Doo in sort of good condition like that is about 10 grand. Just a red copy, you're looking at $2,000 on eBay. And, you know, there's some of the comics there. But Scooby-Doo comics are like a lot of the other superhero comics. They started and they never kind of went away. So Golden Key have done them, and then they went over to Archie Comics, and different comic companies have taken them up as soon as the old ones let the license lapse. And the artwork is pretty similar, because I guess if you're doing Batman or whatever, it can change styles from artist to artist. But with Scooby-Doo, they pretty much just stick with the characters and the look that are in the show. And interestingly enough, this is going to be an interesting night for me, because Scooby-Doo has been in my life since I grew up, but my son really loves Scooby-Doo as well. So when he was little, instead of storybooks, he used to get me to read his my Scooby-Doo comics to him. So he grew up with the same comics that I grew up with, which I still have, which are my old sort of Golden Key Scooby-Doo comics. And then some of the newer ones, which came out later, I still collected as sort of an adult. So sometimes when you see these pictures that we're going to go through as we look at merchandise, you're going to see a little kid in it, and that's my son, and he grows up through some of the pictures because he was a Scooby-Doo fan as well.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't behave like Scrappy-Doo when when he was looking at all this stuff too. So there you go. Very good.
And Scooby-Doo comics were so popular, you can see they've done some team-ups. So you've got Scooby-Doo and Batman, and Scooby-Doo and the Super Friends, and Scooby-Doo and Swamp Thing. The one there that I thought Chad, my friend, would have with Scooby-Doo with Poison Ivy and Harlequin, but no, he doesn't have that issue. So there you go, Chad. That's one you've got to track down. And you can see the inside of the comics is pretty standard through the whole run, where it just looks like the Scooby-Doo cartoon, which is pretty cool if you're a kid and you love seeing it on TV, and you go and get the comic and then you can read the mysteries at home.
Indeed. Very, very cool. One thing about all these comics is they're very, very colourful. There's no doubt about that too. And I always find it funny, the characters always wear the same clothes. It just makes it, they've got a whole wardrobe full of exactly the same thing. Yeah,
yes,
love it.
That's pretty interesting. They do change, but not very much. So some of the original merchandise was board games, and we did a board game episode of the show where we looked at a couple of these before. And the thing you'll find with 60s and 70s board games are, back then they used to slap a franchise on anything, and it's pretty much the same board game every time. It's just like roll the dice and get around the board, or flick the spinner and go around the board in this case with the Scooby-Doo ones. There is about 3 different Scooby-Doo board games, and all of this merchandise I love because of the artwork. Some of the games that come out now, you think are pretty cool and you'd play, but all of these are just, you'd buy them for the retro artwork and the look to them. If you get a Scooby-Doo collection, as Dags was saying, it's really colourful and displays really nicely. So if you do collect Scooby-Doo stuff, it is an impressive collection when you put it all together.
Smartybag Sullivan has said that Shaggy, he always thought that Shaggy was a stoner. That would probably reflect the timing when the show was being made, because, the drug sort of usage through the 60s and the 70s was pretty prominent back then. So maybe he was meant to be a pseudo hippie of sorts. So, you sort of wonder how he could could hang out with the other guys, because he's a completely different personality to everybody else. So,
he was based on a character called Maynard G. Krebs, who was Dobie Gillis's friend in the show Dobie Gillis, and he was a bit of a hippie beatnik stoner. And if you ever see that show, he was actually played by I've forgotten his name, Gilligan from Gilligan's Island, but when he was a lot younger than him. Island. Yes, Bob Denver. And so he was meant to be a stoner. And what they did with Scooby-Doo, they tried to pick a gang of people that anyone could relate to. So you have the jock, who was Freddie, and the pretty girl, who was Daphne, and the smart girl, who was Velma, and then you had sort of the hippie that was Shaggy. And they do kind of in the later episodes get sort of self-aware and joke about maybe he could be a stoner, to the point where in the movie you think they're smoking in the mystery machine, but they're actually cooking hamburgers, kind of thing. And Casey Kasem did the voice of Shaggy, and he was a vegetarian, and he said he would do the show as long as they made Shaggy a vegetarian. So as long as he voiced the show, Shaggy was a vegetarian.
It's probably safe to say that the whole hamburger eating thing was probably a euphemism, I think is the term, for smoking weed and pot and dope and all that sort of bizzo. So instead of they're in the back, as you said, in the back of the van, smoking the wacky tobacco, they're munching down on the hamburger. So that's probably how they sort of got around that particular problem, because for all that eating, you think they'd stack on all this weight. But
they were always getting the munchies, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly right. And so that's probably, as kids, you wouldn't have picked up on it. As adults, you could probably look back and go, oh, yeah, I see what they were sort of referring to, because they were always after food. And, so think of that what you will.
And here are some of the modern board games. And the old board games are sort of very simplistic. The modern ones, where Cluedo or Clue and Monopoly get the license, there's a bit more thought that goes into them. And Clue is a good game for Scooby-Doo to be adapted into. You can see that they've changed the costumes in that one because they look like the characters in Cluedo rather than Scooby-Doo. And then Monopoly is great as well, because you go around and you collect the different places from different Scooby-Doo episodes, and they use a lot of artwork from the actual episodes, the monsters, the locations, and the game pieces. So I think for some of the branded Monopolies can be pretty crap, but the Scooby-Doo one for Monopoly and Clue are actually really good games. So if you like your branded Monopolies, you could do a lot worse than picking up those ones.
I find it interesting. You look at the Monopoly picture in the top right-hand corner, where they've obviously digitally done the shading and the colouring, and it really doesn't work. It really needs to stay two-dimensional to stay to represent the TV series more correctly. So, I mean, even though the colours are correct and the characters look fine, the shading I find just is actually quite distracting. But anyway, interesting, I guess. So there you go.
Yeah. And here is, we're going into the Scooby-Doo toys. That's my son playing with the Scooby-Doo Mystery Mansion with the first wave of character options figures. Now, character options, they're on a winner because they're the ones that make the Doctor Who figures as well, but they've also had the Scooby-Doo.
Don't bring Doctor Who into it. Jesus Christ. We're trying to get... What are you doing to me, mate? Where's Greg Kingle? Oh, yeah, Doctor Who's finally got a mention. Sorry, go on.
No problem. I won't mention Doctor Who anymore.
Don't mention that. It's like a swear word to me. I'm only joking. Go on.
The Scooby-Doo toys are actually really, really good. A lot of work went into the design of the mansion, so it actually has specific little plot points from different episodes, from collapsing chandeliers to breakaway windows. The monsters they made were the classic ones from different episodes, and they did really, really nice versions of the main characters from Scooby-Doo. So they were they adapted it very well, did a fantastic mystery machine. Whoever designed these probably had a love of the series, because you can see that from what they chose to make and how it translated into a toy.
Here's one way of looking at it. Yeah, what the main ingredients of the Scooby Snacks. So maybe that was the hash cookies, etc., etc. We've sort of covered that off. We sort of clearly now know exactly what they're referring to. And there's a little kale in the top right-hand corner. So if you thought, oh, how much for the little boy? Yeah, he's not part of the collection. He's actually the kid playing with it also. Very, very cool.
And they have made a lot of Scooby-Doo figures right up until recently. They're still going. The 50th anniversary of Scooby-Doo was in 2019, and you can see they did the double packs, and what they did was bring back some of the classic villains that hadn't been produced for a while, and they introduced some new ones as well. But for anyone who knows their Scooby-Doo, pretty much all the classic villains are ticked off. You've got Redbeard and the Black Knight and the Ghost of Captain Cutler. You've got Frankenstein's monster, the Skeleton Men, and the Headless Horseman, and the list goes on. I think everyone has a favourite. When I was growing up, I used to be terrified of the Ghost Clown. When that episode came on, I remember, being 4 or 5 and being absolutely terrified of that one. But there was a lot of others. Some of my earliest memories are being terrified of Scooby-Doo.
I like this one. The Viola said that he's disappointed that you actually opened the boxes up and let Kale play with the Scooby-Doo toys instead. That's why I believe that when children are first born, well, not first born, when they start to speak, the first words out of their mouth shouldn't be mama or dad. It should be collectible. And that's what I'm trying to get the little dude to do with Tash. So there you go. And just quickly, Christy said apparently someone's driving a mystery machine replica and around, was it West Gippsland? And the dude even looks like Shaggy. I bet that's probably not by accident either. So there you go. Very, very cool.
That's pretty cool. And these are some of the different ways you could buy the figures over the years. So you could buy them individually, or you could buy the big monster packs where you could get the gang and all the different figures, and you could get the mystery machine and the figures. Or interestingly, for action figures, and I wish they'd do this for Doctor Who, mentioning Doctor Who again, you could actually character actually release them blind bag.
I'm gone. I'm going to kick him off because I'm sick of hearing about Doctor Who.
So character actually released them blind bag like you buy the Lego figures, but it's a full-size action figure. So they had about 26 different ones to collect, and you would open the bag and get a random figure. Boy, I wish they'd do that with the old Doctor Who and bring some of the figures back that are pretty hard.
Anyway, apparently Aaron was talking about Scooby-Doo. I caught him in the middle of a drink, so there you go. Oh, golly. Yes, good on you, Phil. Yes, another Doctor Who mentioned. Yay, team. Yes, bullshit. Next time we have a Doctor Who episode, we'll make a point of talking about Scooby-Doo or something. What do you reckon, eh?
Well, Phil, I always try to slip in Doctor Who mentions. So,
Christ, he's done it again. All right, no worries. So yeah, I agree, Mr. Vile. We did talk about Star Wars all of a sudden, so there you go.
Well, the same thing goes with Star Wars. It'd be really cool if some of the figures that went for like hundreds of dollars on eBay, they just released in blind packets and released them again, so fans who didn't worry about, having to have the mint on card could just buy the packets. I think that's quite a clever way to buy action figures, especially if there's one out of that 20 that you need and you keep having to buy and open or try and fill inside the packet.
What are you talking about? I'm trying to get back onto the topic. All right, so where are we? I've actually forgotten which slide we're on. Are we on this one?
Okay, we're on that one. We can go to the next one. I'll stop talking about it. Character also released a Mystery Mates version of Scooby-Doo, which are smaller figures. And what was interesting about this, they scaled down the figures and they sort of did Lego-size versions and super deformed versions. But the vehicles and the play sets they were released were exactly the same as the large ones. So you could still buy the Mystery Mansion, and it still kind of worked for the larger figures. It just actually was a bigger mansion for them because the figures were smaller. So these are quite cute, but I do like the full-size action figures a lot better. But again, they released a lot of different monsters, and at that scale, obviously, it's cheaper to produce. So different versions of Scooby-Doo, and you could get them in different packages and things. So you can see quite easily you could start filling a house up with Scooby-Doo merchandise if you were a collector of the Scooby-Doo series.
These ones down here, yeah, not a big fan. They look like they've been chasing parked cars, some of them, but yeah, still.
Yeah. And here's one for, I guess, the collectors that will hark back to our childhood. They did Stretch Armstrong versions of Scooby-Doo. Now, I don't know if you remember Stretch Armstrong. My my great memory of Stretch Armstrong is the kid across the road had one, so we tied it to his stairs, and he used him to abseil down the stairs to see how far he would stretch. And he stretched to about 1.5 meters, then he split down the middle, and all this black gunge came out all over my friend's carpet, and the mum came out and just sprayed us. And because I was the friend, I didn't get in much trouble, but he just got crucified. But anyway, this is the Scooby-Doo version. So how stretchy is Scooby-Doo? I don't know. It looks he looks like he's on a torture rack there. But not only did they do Scooby, they did some of the monsters and Scooby in a skeleton costume, and then they did a Stretch octopus and miniature versions. So for those who remember the Stretch Armstrong, he's still alive and well, but in Scooby-Doo version.
Yeah, you do wonder, don't you? And you look at this one here where he's got the skeleton suit, and the thing underneath it, you'd swear that's one for the vial file. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's
there,
another. But they've put in an extra bone.
Oh, there's a lot of comments that can come out of that. So yes, very cool. Yes, and in the show he was very stretchy. Yes, he was. But yes, you do wonder, a Stretch Armstrong Scooby-Doo. There's something wrong with that. But anyway, we'll move on.
Now, the other big thing is, I guess a lot of people who grew up in the 60s and 70s remember the Mego action figures. And recently there's been a revival of people making Mego-like action figures, and Mego even releasing new action figures and reissues of their own toys themselves. But there is a range currently available of Scooby-Doo Mego scale figures that are quite nice, and they've done quite a few different versions. They've done a play set, which is a carry case house, which is sort of what Mego used to do as well. And they're quite good in look. They don't look super realistic like a lot of the new action figures, so they look retro, but they're still a lot nicer than if they'd have brought them out back in the 60s, how they would have looked. So if you are into Scooby-Doo, you can even get Scooby-Dum and some of the more obscure characters that weren't released as the character option toy figures.
Regarding the Scooby-Doo with the skeleton and the extra bone, for those who've never heard that one, Old Mother Hubbard, kids, talk to your parents about what the rest of that joke is like. We definitely can't put it on this show, but I tell you what, it's damn funny. Let's move on to something a bit more exciting. Ken and Barbie, they're back.
Yeah, so last week, I think, was it Carol wanted to see the Barbie dolls from the X-Files? Well, they did multiple Barbie versions of Scooby-Doo, and they did them for the anniversary for the series, and they're quite nice. So you've got Skipper as Velma, and Ken. Ken gets two characters because every male is Ken. You've got Shaggy and Freddy, and then Barbie is, of course, Daphne. And they did the Scooby-Doo movie versions of Daphne as well, which was Sarah Michelle Gellar, which goes back to what Dags was saying, who was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They called the Scooby Gang, and then she ended up being Daphne in Scooby-Doo.
I didn't highlight it earlier, but Christy actually highlighted that. And so I was going to put it up a bit later on. But yeah, the irony of that, So yes, sorry, continue on.
So also there on the right-hand side, you've got the Dead dolls, which are a series of dolls that are usually horror dolls, but they've also done a Scooby-Doo set, which are pretty cool. I guess if you collect those kind of dolls, it's something different from sort of the Candy Skull or the horror versions that you get, and you can have some more color in your collection. So Scooby-Doo is popular with kids and popular with adults, and there's quite a range of stuff that you can buy. I actually probably like the Scooby-Doo versions of Barbie better than the X-Files ones from last week.
I reckon the Daphne up here, that is grouse. That is really, really good. The Fred, kind of doesn't really cut it. But Shaggy, trying to make Shaggy look like a cool dude kind of doesn't work because he wasn't never a cool dude. So I guess when they made these, they were sort of like torn between trying to make him better than what he really was, or just make him how he's meant to look, and then he looks unappealing. That
picture of Shaggy that you were circling, we can't really see it because it's not big enough. But if you zoom in on that, he actually kind of looks like a Burns victim with shaggy hair. And I do have to say, this is like the confessional time. Daphne was probably my first childhood crush when I was growing up. It was an animated woman cartoon.
What's interesting too is you got Fred's arm around Daphne. You can sort of see that happening, but having Shaggy's arm around Velma, that you never say he gave the impression that he was actually into physical contact, but except for the dog. So anyway, move on.
There you go. And we're going to look at some of the Scooby-Doo records that were available as well, because Scooby-Doo has been big on vinyl right back to the 70s. Now, a lot of it wasn't the theme or the music from the show. It was actually read-along stories and things like that. There are some very nice picture discs. There are different levels pitched at different ages of books with the vinyl that go along with them. And I haven't pictured any of them there, but you could get a lot of those sort of compilation albums that have all your favourite TV themes, and Scooby-Doo was usually one that was featured on them because it has such an iconic theme that is very catchy and very beloved. So if you collect Scooby-Doo vinyl, you can fill up half a shelf of all the different versions that are out there.
Love this one from Rico. So the reason why Shaggy had his arm around Velma is because she had snacks in her pockets, right? And were they like snacks or were they snacks?
And then one of the other old areas of merchandise was Scooby-Doo jigsaws. And I actually had some Scooby-Doo jigsaws when I was growing up, and they used to always disappoint me because I'd get the ones like is the top left-hand corner where you've got the gang sitting drinking milkshakes under an umbrella. And if I wanted Scooby-Doo, I wanted frickin' Wolfman and the Beast from the Bottomless Lake and the 50,000-volt ghost menacing the gang, and Shaggy looking terrified, and like the one down the bottom with Scooby in Shaggy's arms. But a lot of the ones, I don't know if it was to do with how things were marketed back then. It would often just be the gang and the monster off in the background, or no monster at all, which I always thought was a bit disappointing. Down in the bottom center there are two of the more modern jigsaws, and I think they got on board with kids love to be scared. So you've got a spooky old house with Dracula and the gang looking menaced, or you've got another one that's got Frankenstein's monster and the creeper and Dracula, and very gothic looking artwork rather than that sort of bright, friendly stuff. So you can really say there's something for everyone with Scooby-Doo, but you will notice if you buy the old merchandise, it's very kid-centric and aimed at kids and not very scary, where the newer merchandise is aimed at people who grew up with Scooby-Doo. So looks at the sort of memories of being terrorized and is more sort of in line with what you would want from a Scooby-Doo jigsaw these days, rather than something, sitting under umbrella drinking milkshakes.
Yeah, interesting.
And here's some colouring books. And the really interesting thing here, I like Scooby-Doo merchandise and I've collected a bit of it, but there was two really weird Japanese ones. And what Dags was saying, they never changed the outfit. Of course, the Japanese did. They gave Shaggy a red top instead of the classic green one. I guess if you got a colouring book, it doesn't really matter because the kids are going to colour in whatever they want. And they kind of retooled Scooby-Doo as well. So it almost looks more like Dino Mutt than Scooby-Doo. But they'd be pretty hard to find. And I thought they were pretty cool images because there's something a bit different, because usually all the Scooby-Doo stuff looks pretty similar. So there was a lot of colouring books. And again, I had Scooby-Doo colouring books, and the same thing. When you look at them, you've got Scooby-Doo riding a tractor on the farm and all these other things. There was never enough blood and guts and ghosts and monsters in the colouring books for me. The top and the bottom there, I don't know anyone who collects the British annuals. They're sort of like a hardback book that comes out every Christmas and is a sort of staple under the Christmas tree. And we do get them released here as well, but they're more of a big thing in Britain. They've released, not hundreds, but Scooby-Doo annuals for years and years. So every year you could collect a Scooby-Doo annual. And the modern ones are quite available, but some of the older ones from the 70s are really hard to get. And they have interesting artwork because anyone who collects annuals know what's inside them is very, very variable. Basically, world distributors would get the rights and they'd have like house artists and writers who probably never ever watched the show, and they would just put an annual together. And some of the 70s and 80s ones are quite weird with what they include. The new ones, of course, the licensee are going to say, no, it's got to be like Scooby-Doo. But that's sort of a phenomenon that happens in all the different annuals, including I won't say it.
Good. I like this one from the Vile. He would have violated all of them if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Absolutely awesome. It is interesting when you look at the show. You got the four characters and the dog, and they've named the show after the dog rather than the group as a whole. So conceivably, you could have had the show it was just the dog by himself, maybe with Shaggy, and just nick the other three off because it wasn't like the collective group as the name of the program. So somewhere they've obviously done the market research at the start of when the show first started and said, oh, the dog's a central character, even though the dog doesn't do anything except get scared all the time, and Shaggy has to rescue him. So yeah, it's sort of interesting when you sit and think about it. But of course, it's become iconic now, so it really doesn't matter.
You were absolutely spot on, because the original name for the show was Mystery 5. And then they did marketing and said, no, everyone's going to love the dog and Shaggy. So they changed it to Scooby-Doo. And I'm really happy they changed it to the Scooby-Doo, because a Mystery 5 theme tune would have denied us the Scooby-Dooby-Doo theme tune, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's funny because you could almost call it the Scooby and Shaggy show and just ditch the other three. And then people go, well, we need the other three because they represent the audience. So, Interesting.
Now, another thing that I grew up with and is very collectible and sort of spans different...
Hang on, got to cut you off. Whoop, 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 whoop. So Spanker's asked, is there Scooby-Doo merchandise? Yes, there is. I assume it's still there after the earthquake the other week.
Yeah, we have some Scooby-Doo merchandise. We have one level of figures and bits and pieces in the store of Scooby-Doo. I always fly the flag.
It's actually at least in a glass. Sorry, cut you off. What were you going to say?
I always have some Scooby-Doo in the shop. It's actually quite popular. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in a glass cabinet on a shelf by itself. So there's plenty there. Anyway, continue on.
So Viewmasters, I think everyone's had them, are the 3D stereographic pictures where you look through the viewer and you can see 3D pictures of the images. Scooby-Doo had them right back to the early 70s, and the one on the left there is actually a talking Viewmaster, which didn't last as well as the sort of average Viewmasters, where you could hear sound as well as the pictures when you viewed it. They did a couple of different versions. There's that Snow Ghost, which is what a fantastic Dags pun there, like a pun on that Snow Ghost. But
there's no business like snow business.
So that's pretty cool. Can I tell everyone my Scooby-Doo pun? The one you love.
Keep it quick.
So everyone's from Coolsville, but if he wasn't from Coolsville, where would Freddie be from? Dags?
I don't know. I'm too stupid to work this one out. Where's he from?
Ascot Val.
Really?
Anyway,
that is so funny. Do you realise half the audience's internal organs are just spilled out over the floor because they're laughing just so hard over that?
Anyway, so Scooby-Doo Viewmasters. There we go. Next, we'll move on.
Now, I agree with Christy, and I did think of this at the time. Mystery 5 sounds too close to the famous 5, and I bet that was another reason why they thought, get away from numbers and things like that and do something completely different. So, yes, that's very, very cool.
But the famous 5 had a fantastic theme tune as well.
Yeah, but they obviously didn't do it. So, relax, Max. Let's move on. Okay, here we go.
And through the years, there's been different versions of Scooby-Doo cups and glasses. The interesting ones, I don't know if anyone here would remember collecting them. You could get these glasses of, I don't remember the product. It was like a cheese. But it was almost like a liquid cheese spread. And I remember having one, and I couldn't find it online, of Scooby-Doo riding a train, dressed as a train driver, that we got from that. And there was all different Hanna-Barbera ones. There was also Scooby-Doo glasses. Now, people will remember this. Do you remember when you used to get your Nutella? You could recycle the glasses and there'd be different characters. The set down the bottom there is the Hanna-Barbera set, and there was some Scooby-Doo ones. There's Scooby-Doo shot glasses. There was Scooby-Doo glasses given away as different promotions. There's the Scooby-Doo lunchbox and thermoses that you could take to school with your Scooby Snacks in. And even on Etsy, there's shot glasses and custom Scooby-Doo stuff, because it's very, very popular. So if you want to have the coolest glass pantry in the world, Scooby-Doo's the way to go.
Thermometer, right? And we're talking about a dog here. It's like there's always time for lubrication. What can I say? That is very. Actually, the ones down here are really, really pretty. So yes, very, very, very cool. But I do like it when they got like shot glasses and stuff when it's a kid's show. You know, it's like shot glasses for alcohol primarily.
William remembers my cream cheese, but we won't go into that now. The other thing that Scooby-Doo has done, that a few old Hanna-Barbera cartoons have tried to different degrees of success, Flintstones being quite successful, Josie and the Pussycats not being so successful, it crossed over onto the big screen. And the Scooby-Doo movies were quite anticipated. The first one I kind of thought was okay and did really, really well. And then the second one I thought was a really, really good movie, but didn't do as well as the first one, unfortunately. There was only really limited merchandise available for the Scooby-Doo movies. There was the posters and the poster campaigns, and then there was a series of action figures. And these action figures are probably, out of all the action figures, the rarest ones to get. And the Harlequin ghost, which is right dead center there from the first Scooby-Doo movie, is probably, out of all the action figures, the rarest and most expensive one, and always goes for hundreds of dollars on eBay. Probably because when it came out, not a lot of kids bought it, so it's quite hard to find, but it is a very cool looking ghost, so anyone who collects Scooby-Doo now is after it. And there's a die-cast mystery machine there. Now, we could have done a whole show almost on die-cast mystery machines because there's a lot of different versions, but I've just included this one because basically they're all the same, but they've been die-cast versions available right back from the 70s, and they still get reissued today.
Regarding the shot glasses, I like this one from Jared. Yeah, have a shot of Scooby's do. Yeah, you can interpret that any way you want. With the movie, the thing I found interesting is that everything hinged on how well the dog sold the show. If the dog looked terrible or it didn't integrate with the characters, it would have the whole thing would have just bombed completely badly. But they got the CG right. The dog worked looked like he was really there, and the whole thing was a success. The only thing, if I was going to say, was interesting is that in the cartoon, it was clearly defined that Daphne was the hot girl, and Velma was just like the book nerd. But in the movie, I don't know the name of the actress, I can't think of it, but she also was quite attractive as well, and even put the glasses and the hairstyle.
Linda Cardellini, I think, was Daphne in the movie. So.
Yeah, and so if anything, you could argue, okay, should they have picked someone a bit more ordinary looking, as it were, because clearly the focus was supposed to be on Daphne. And we were talking about Buffy earlier, and of course Sarah Michelle Gellar was actually filming Buffy in America and flying out to Australia to film Scooby-Doo, and then flying backwards and forwards between the countries, and absolutely insane. But yeah, it was a very successful movie, and it worked really well.
With her husband, who was Freddie Prinze.
Yeah, they met. I think they met on the show. Yeah, Freddie Prinze. So, and I actually thought he didn't do so. Funny enough, Fred plays Fred. Me. Remember the book Me on Me? But anyway, but it was very successful. But I only saw the first one.
The thing that disappointed me with the movies in the TV series,
thank you,
it was always the ghosts were revealed as not being supernatural, but in both the movies they were supernatural, which I kind of felt betrayed the concept of the show. But we won't go into that. That's just my opinion.
Yep, exactly right. All right.
Now the other thing, I don't know if Joel has all of these. He usually has all the video stuff that we show. There has been a whole ton of Scooby-Doo games. And I think that is because every generation that's grown up since it released goes through a phase where they sort of love Scooby-Doo for a while. And there's the Commodore 64 and Spectrum games back in the 80s on Dataset. There was a couple of Scooby-Doo ones, and then all the way through the different systems on Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox, there's been games released on all the different platforms. So you've got the cartridges and the discs and the mini discs, and then the Wii has come out with Scooby-Doo. And the games have actually kind of been interesting to see because all the core games are based on the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You with the original characters, but then every iteration and change, you'll get a different game. Of course, awesome collection.
I just realised in Joel's promo, there's actually a picture of me in the background. What the hell am I doing in that shot?
You're everywhere, Dags. Scooby-Doo games are actually very cool games. You can see from what we've pulled up there, they're very colourful and they're very, very draw you into the game. The gameplay is often very similar, but the concept of Scooby-Doo relates really well to a game where you solve puzzles to unlock areas and solve crimes and get further into the game. And most of the games are like that. So if you like Scooby-Doo, it's actually like playing through episodes, a lot of those games. The last games I really played a lot before I got old and didn't have time were the this Nintendo 64 Scooby-Doo and the GameCube ones, because my son was into it. So we would spend hours and hours going through the games and playing Scooby-Doo and eating Scooby Snacks and stuff like that. So Scooby-Doo games are very good memories for me.
Very, very cool. So I photobombed. Who knew? I didn't even notice that before. And there's a comment. I'll speak to Thomas separately about his comments, which is all good. There's nothing wrong. So we move on.
And here you go. There are some custom full-size Scooby-Doo pinball machines, but these are the ones that have been officially released. And these are sort of the big for a kid pinball table would be the best way to describe it. So they're not full size at all, but they're not the little handheld ones. These are ones that you bring home and they're electronic and they're upright and they're about the size of a coffee table. But there's been about 3 different Scooby-Doo pinball machines for kids, which I found really interesting because I've never seen them. And when I was researching this, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. My son would have loved them when when he was growing up.
Colin said he actually had a friend of his on the Gold Coast, and someone mentioned about where all the movies were filmed up in Queensland. He actually used to be a cook for the Scooby-Doo cast. Oh, how good is that? So that's something people like that who do very simple, not simple, but behind the scenes jobs. They're the ones you can have all the great stories at parties because they can say, "Well, I know what this person eats," and so on and so on.
There is a great story about that because apparently Sarah Michelle Gellar, she was notorious for saying her and Freddie Prinze Jr. couldn't find good meals on the Gold Coast and were flying down to Sydney to eat, which everyone thought was very entitled, actorish behaviour. But it apparently did happen. So maybe your friend has some stories about that.
Or, sorry about this, Mr. Colin, your friend wasn't a very good cook.
Or that. Now, Scooby-Doo has always been a staple at the arcades. I still see it today where you can go to skill testers, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Look at all the different colour Scooby-Doo plushes that you have there. Because if you win the brown one, of course you want the pink one and the white one and the purple one and the blue one as well. And also if you used to go to those arcades and win tickets to buy prizes at the entrance, there was a big Scooby-Doo Wheel of Fortune, which I did see in Australia. And there's also been in the casinos, Scooby-Doo slot machines, because a lot of the slot machines can be licensed and have different franchises, and there is a Scooby-Doo one. And there are various Scooby-Doo games that are in arcades that aren't video games. They're actually win prizes or win coin tokens arcades, which means it must be very popular with kids still, because you don't have an arcade have something like that that's dead space and doesn't earn them money. So I think that goes to the popularity of how Scooby-Doo is across many generations.
Yeah, it's a good point because out of all the characters of the show, clearly is most iconic, and even the versions in different colours. Everybody sort of knows just the shape of the dog, a Great Dane. What's interesting is I don't know how many people who have Great Danes, but if any of them actually name their dog Scooby-Doo. Because a lot of people will get a collie dog, and they may not call it Lassie, right? But if they did, it would fit. But a Great Dane, you do wonder. Imagine that you have a Great Dane. I'm going to call it Scooby-Doo. What else are you going to call it? So, yeah. And speaking of plush woofers, there's a plush woofer or two.
Now, there you go. And that just shows you there are a couple of the gang of plush toys, but the majority of plush toys for Scooby-Doo right back to the 70s are, of course, Scooby-Doo. And you could get them in every single size, from keyring size right up to bigger than you size Scooby-Doo. And you see in the bottom right-hand corner there, Scoob. That's the latest version of Scooby-Doo, which was out about a year ago, and they're still producing it. So there you have someone I found online who has a Scooby-Doo plush focus and all their different plush toys in different colours. And like I was saying earlier, my son would see a Scooby-Doo plush and we'd have to get it. And it'd be, oh, Daddy, that one's dressed like Sherlock Holmes, or that one's bright blue. So there are a lot of different Scooby plushes. I just like one really good, nice Scooby-Doo plush, and that's fine for me. But some people like to fill a room with plush Scooby-Doos.
So Christy knew someone who had a Great Dane called Scooby. Like they did call it Scooby, they didn't call it like Benji or something like Dorky like that. Could have called it Spot. So yeah, it's good to see that there's a nice little trend. Imagine that you have a Great Dane convention for all these dogs, and every single one of them has exactly the same name. What else would you call it? Hey, Scooby, they all like 600 dogs will turn around.
Bounding at you, yes.
Anyway.
And something I like to look at on this show, just because it's local, is show bags. And the Royal Melbourne Show. And Scooby-Doo is, again, big at the show. So there's a couple of different years of show bags. I know when my son was growing up, every single year there would be a different Scooby-Doo show bag full of your regular show bag crap. And I guess if you collect Scooby-Doo overseas, that's probably some of the most prized merchandise, because half of it would be available over there, but half of it would be the cheap and nasty stuff produced locally. So it'd be quite hard to get overseas. And you can see at the show there are carnies that are doing the skill testers that just have Scooby-Doo as the prize that you can win if you go and play their games. So again, Scooby-Doo is massively popular for them to be able to do that and make money, because if Scooby-Doo wasn't hot, no one would go and play any of their games.
Yeah, what was I saying about 600 Great Danes? And you said that picture in the bottom right-hand corner. It was like, mate, you'd be sick to death of looking at him. It was like, freaking hell. Same. What
used to always happen when I'd go to the show is on the very first skill tester, my son would win the biggest thing on the thing. And because we go in by public transport, can't take it back to the car. So I'd freaking have a huge Scooby-Doo on my shoulders for 6 hours walking around the show. So
you took one for the team and just deal with it. All right. Speaking of being able to eat your Scoobies, there's a Scooby snack.
So there's a Scooby snack for you. People might know, we haven't looked at any before, I don't think. They do cake tins on all different characters, from Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars to Masters of the Universe. But they did a Scooby-Doo one, and I actually have that in my collection. And that's my son's 3rd birthday. Not my wife. I made that cake, so I'm quite proud. The one on the left is the picture that comes with the tin, and the one on the right is the one I made myself and iced myself, and there's my son cutting it up on his 3rd birthday.
Did they make a Doctor Who one? Oh, shit. Hang on. I'm gone. I couldn't help myself.
They have made Doctor Who cakes, but as far as I know, not a cake.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Move on. I just wanted to do it for the joke. All right, let's go.
Okay, and for all the people who love Funko, they've done, of course, Scooby-Doo Pops, and some of the Scooby-Doo Pops are quite valuable. We got a pop collection in that had a couple of the out-of-print Scooby-Doo monsters, and they went for hundreds of dollars when we listed them, and they went really fast. But you can get the Scooby Gang and Scooby and some of the different monsters. The one I think is actually better is on the bottom there, Funko did a series of TV terrors with little miniature TVs with a scene from different shows, and you could actually undo the figures and use them as action figures, and that was the Scooby-Doo version they did. And I liked that because the green ghost in there that glow in the dark was one that wasn't released by character option, so it could add to the collection. And then we have our useless pop of the week there, the purple grape-flavoured chewing gum-looking Scooby-Doo. So Scooby-Doo is alive and well in pop form.
I love this one from Dave. Yes, not Scooby-Doo, it's Funko-Doo. Yeah, that's actually very clever, Dave. Well done, sir.
Yes. And, of course, any franchise that's beloved by kids and popular gets a Lego runaround. Scooby-Doo Lego came out about 5 or 6 years ago. It was good, but it wasn't fantastic. And I found that was because instead of making all the Scooby-Doo monsters, Lego just tried to adapt all the monsters that they already had and use them as Scooby-Doo monsters. So the Knight and the Pumpkin is okay, and I guess the zombie kind of looks okay, and the Dracula, but they weren't really made for Scooby-Doo. They were taken from other sets and sort of had their colour changed. So they did a good job, and of course I got all of those and built them with my son, and they're fantastic, but they wouldn't be my favourite Lego sets either.
Tell you what, some of our audience members just really pissed me off. Freaking Greg King. Oh, God damn it. Mr. Greg, enough of the Docky Who, mate. Just sit back. Just be patient. Oh, my God, you're killing me.
Now, what is good, though, these are current and you can still get them. Playmobil, which are pitched a lot younger kids than Lego, have done a Scooby-Doo range. And I think I kind of missed it because we've been in lockdown for 2 years and they've been Playmobil's sort of last 2 years of stuff. And they are fantastic. I would say they're probably better than the Lego versions. They're the same sort of stylized characters as Lego. They're slightly bit bigger, but the characters they've chosen, the looks they've given them, and the dioramas and play sets that come with them are absolutely fantastic. And if I didn't have a wife putting brakes on my spending, I would have a room full of Scooby-Doo Playmobil. We're going to have a look at a couple of the different current sets. We'll go a bit fast because we're running out of time. So these are all the ones that are available. You've got the Mystery Mansion, and then you've got the Mystery Machine, and a whole lot of episodes with specific monsters, and then just a couple of Scooby-Doos in different costumes you can get yourself. But there's the Witch Doctor, the Haunted Clown, the Ghost of Captain Cutler, all the favourites that kids grow up with. And these are being sold now 50 years later to kids these days from a cartoon that was shown in 1969, which is pretty amazing.
Actually, they do look pretty good, I got to say. Even in this picture, that's actually, it looks like a very, very groovy set to have. So one of the things, if you're going to have sets of something, you at least want the packaging to look very, very pretty and appealing, and these certainly do. So, yeah, like it.
Yep. And these are some of just the sets open so you can have a look at them. But you can see it's like the Mystery Mansion, and it's got all the stuff that the play set had, right down to the collapsing chandelier. One of the most fantastic things I have to say I've ever seen in a kid's toy is in the bottom right corner there. Now, Dags, do you know what a Pepper's Ghost is? In filmmaking?
No.
In filmmaking, a Pepper's Ghost is where you use like a reflection to project a ghost. and it's done by putting a piece of glass on a 90-degree angle, and then when you project it at the person looking directly at the glass, the ghost looks like it's floating in midair on the glass. When they made The Nightmare Before Christmas, Zero, the dog, was done that way in stop motion, so it was filmed for real. You can see there they've used this effect. You can get your smartphone, download the Playmobil app, put it in the little slot, and you can actually project a ghost that looks like a real ghost into the Playmobil haunted mansion and scare the crap out of the little kids. I think that is an absolutely amazing thing that takes an old franchise, has nostalgia that adults would love, and then uses new technology to update it to make it cutting edge and interesting and toyrific for kids who are all into their apps and iPhones and things like that. So that's one of the coolest things I think I've seen in a long time for a sort of old product being updated with new technology.
Very, very true, actually. So, that sort of brings us...
And so there we go. We couldn't cover everything because, like I said, Scooby-Doo has been constant and around since 1969. And some of the things we've looked like with movies and stuff that have gone over 2 weeks, there is probably more Scooby-Doo merchandise than some of those. But I don't think we wanted to talk about Scooby-Doo food for like a half an hour and Scooby-Doo die-cast vehicles, which there's been hundreds. But
Yeah, sorry, you just get your last couple of words in. I've got to say something.
I was just saying there is a lot more Scooby-Doo stuff we could have looked at, but that was just a fun warm-up for Halloween at looking at some creepy and fun stuff to get you in the Halloween mood.
Very cool. Now, did they actually do, just very quickly answer this one, merchandise for Scrappy-Doo and Scooby-Dum?
They did some for Scooby-Dum and some for Scrappy-Doo, not very much, because although they rammed him through the series, it wasn't popular.
So it's almost like the Jar Jar Binks, effectively, or some of the other like unforgettable characters that no one gets. And Scooby-Dum really was a bloody dumb character.
Annoying.
So Scrappy-Doo you can kind of get away with to a degree, but yeah, you do wonder if they're going to have longevity in the future. So
yeah,
exactly right. Very, very cool. I think, ironically, the thing that made the show work is that for kids every week, because it was a mystery show, and it's like, well, who's like hiding behind the scenes? And of course, when you see the old dude, it's like, oh, it's got to be him. But as a young kid, you never figured that out, you know. And the fact that our team was like stuck in this situation, it's like, well, who's the bad guy? And as you're right, it was a very, very simple formula. But you had a chance to sit and think about what was going on rather than just taking all at face value. It was very, very ingenious.
Well, the other thing, when Velma was generally the one that revealed it at the end, they would flash back through the episode and show you the clues, and there were clues there. So that was good and got kids thinking.
So Luke's actually joined us for the entire show, so he's nicking off now, and he's going to see us on Sin Day, not Sunday. Sin Day, well, I suppose it is a sin for some people. So there you go. How good is
night,
that?
Luke.
Absolutely, yeah. Good night. Yes, good. I like that one. Good night, young one. Well done. Very, very good stuff. And guess what? It is right on 10 o'clock. We actually got in on time. So very, very cool. It's like the typical thing with these shows, we sort of gurgle on towards at the start, and then towards the end, we got to plow through it pretty quickly. But it's sort of the nature of the biz. Any final words before we sign off for the night, Mr. Aaron?
So we've got the Halloween special on Sunday. Do you want to tell everyone the topic for next Wednesday?
Fucking, if you have to.
It's part one of our look into 70s Doctor Who memorabilia. So for all of those who are saying it's about time for more Doctor Who, we're going to have Halloween, then 2 weeks of absolutely amazing stuff that Dags is going to love.
I'd be right. I see Greg has just gone completely chopper right now, and Phil Nichols is just like losing his load. Even as we be careful, Phil, you'd be starting to be getting a bit slippery with all that stuff everywhere. So just got to take it easy, old son. But yeah, it's good old Docky who does come back next week. It's so funny that everybody was sort of discussing it earlier on. Now, importantly, as we said, we've got the Halloween show on Sunday, and we've definitely got the store opening at 6 p.m. on Friday night. Make sure you make an appearance, get some free pizza, talk nerdy with some dudes, and buy some Scooby-Doo shit because it's actually in the glass cabinets, which is absolutely awesome.
Dags,
so there you go.
Are you eating your hat? Are you eating your hat?
I wouldn't get to the numbers. Not even close. Not even remotely close. So there you go. But for those who are wondering what I was going to do had we got to 32 or more people, this is my hat. Now, for those who don't know, in Uzbekistan, in the southern province of Uzbekistan, although this looks like a chocolate brownie, right? My other half made these ones earlier. a chocolate brownie in southern Uzbekistan is actually known as a, I've got to try and get it right, Hatopolov or something like that, which they shortened to sort of hat, right? So, and since my other half made these, I was actually going to eat my hat, as it were, because, you know, you can look it up if you want on Google. Good luck with that. That is actually known as a hat. So I was going to chow down on that had we got to 32 or above, but we didn't. So there you go. All right. It's time for us to go. See you on Sunday, everybody, for a fantastic Halloween show. Be sure to party hard, rock on. And for those who are joining us on Friday and or Saturday at Aaron's store, that will be absolutely fantastic. So, look at this. The numbers have actually just gone up. People are calling out to other people saying, get on the show, like really quickly. Anyway, we're going to buzz off. Mr. Aaron, any final words before we go?
No, enjoy your Uzbekistan treat.
I shall indeed. So, in the interim, make sure you keep all your Scooby-Doo collectibles mint in box.
Or rip them off the card.
Exactly right. I'm going to start eating. Bye-bye. Bye for now.
Ranks.